All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Panels on Pages podcast. This is a very special episode. Today, we are discussing how to build better crowdfunding campaigns with Tyler
Carpenter.
Carpenter. Wow, I thought it was that, but I was also second guessing myself for some reason.
No, you're good, man.
Tyler Carpenter of Draw and Talk. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, I keep like flipping that in my brain because there's like a bunch of different people who have like chat and draw, so I always keep mixing that up. Draw and Talk on YouTube, on Twitter. You've probably seen his work. You've probably seen his tweets. Gets a lot of interaction. Gets a little spicy with the topics.
I don't know if that's true. I don't think I'm spicy at all. I think indie creators are just whiner babies.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Let's. So the whole reason this episode exists is because Tyler came in on a Facebook group that is for indie creators to kind of show community, help support one another and such. And apparently, I'm not really on Facebook a lot actually, so I hadn't been in the group for a few weeks. So I hadn't seen any of this, but apparently there have been people who have been, complaining about the fact that it's harder to get funded on Kickstarter these days. And you came in pretty hot with a post about basically all the ways that people are not doing things correctly, what they should be doing correctly, and you caught a lot of flack for it. There were people who agreed with you, of course, because I honestly think, and right out the gate, I'm going to say this: when I read your post, the points you made, I think, were solid points. I think your approach to it was dog shit.
That's fair.
It's very much like if it was like me and a bunch of other fat people in a room being like, man, it's so hard to lose weight. And then completely unrelated to anyone, somebody hearing that conversation, kicking the door and be like, you need to fucking eat less and work out more. And it's like, while those things may be true, that is a shitty way to fucking put that opinion in there. And honestly, so I caught a part of your live the other day when you had someone on, I don't remember the name, but you were discussing the subject matter of how to build better crowdfunding campaigns, like what people are doing wrong. And your tone was completely different. And honestly, it sounded and felt like you were genuinely trying to be helpful in that situation. And it was so markedly different from that post that post seemed aggressive. Like, as someone who was reading it, I looked at it and I was like, wow, like he's coming in here really heated. And it was like, you weren't calling anybody specific out. It didn't seem like anyone had like come to you directly, like just a bunch of people come to you complaining about it. It was just like people generally complaining, like commiserating. And you would just like, fucking get your shit together, do it the right way.
Well, here's the thing. One, I think 99% of people who actually read the post and commented, like on Twitter, I think I got like 10,000, over 10,000 engagement. And people are still talking about that tweet. I have, on Facebook, it did its thing. People made several YouTube videos about it over the weekend. And like I'd say 90% of it was positive, and 10% of it was people angry with it because they said they didn't like the approach. And to me, anyone who thinks, wow, that was heated, wow, I don't like his approach, he was negative. Anyone who thinks that of that post, to me, I think it's just because I threw a mirror in your face and went, you're the problem. Because it is creators are the problem. And I saw several posts saying, how do I get backers? How do I do this? How do I do this? And I just saw all these wrong answers. And I saw them on Twitter of people saying, how do I get more backers? I'm struggling on Kickstarter. I'm struggling making comics. And none of it was people taking responsibility for the fact that it's their fault. It's 100% the creator's fault. And so, I mean, I just put a post that said, it's your fault. You do better. And anyone who...
But is it though? It's 100% on 100%. The creator. So there is absolutely 100%. So what you're saying is, without the steps that you suggested, there's absolutely no way for someone to put a book on a Kickstarter and without promoting it for it to do well.
I'll tell you that. So when is this getting released? This video?
Tuesday.
Okay, so on Wednesday, I kind of already told people a little bit. But on Wednesday, I'm unveiling that I launched a project last week. I made a secret account. I've done no promotion, no marketing. I've only told 2 people, like I've shown them the actual project, said, look what I did. Don't tell anyone I did this. And I think I'm gone 3 days in and I'm 174% funded, but I funded in the first day in 15 hours.
Okay.
So I've already broken the myth that you can put out a project on Kickstarter with no promotion, no marketing. The next question then would be, how did I do it? And keep in mind, I came up with this idea 4 weeks ago. I created the project in about an hour, and I contacted everyone I needed to make the project happen. And within a week, I had the project page finished. And then a week later, I hit the launch button. And so it's 100% creators' fault, because I just proved that you can throw up a Kickstarter. Now, one thing that people don't realize, it keep glossing over because they get so angry and butthurt. Paragraph is that Kickstarter is they don't understand Kickstarter. That's the biggest fundamental thing, is indie creators do not understand how to make a good product. They don't know how to promote, and they then don't understand the landscape of the internet. And Kickstarter is one of those domains where most creators do not understand the domain of Kickstarter. And I've spent so I'm doing a 3-part marketing story right now. That post on Thursday or Friday was part 1 of my story. Part 2 of my story was today on Twitter, where I did a poll saying, is it possible to do a project on Kickstarter with 0 marketing and get it funded? And 90% of people are saying no. And then part 3 of my story will then be on Wednesday, when I unveil the product and I say, I did it. I funded in 15 hours, no promotion, new account, haven't tied in any of my people. My Kickstarters do over 10,000. I haven't told one of those people.
Okay. So is your name on it at all?
Nope. It's under a pseudonym.
It's under a pseudonym. So are there any creators tied to any, like artists, colorists, anybody that's like known?
Nope. I put pseudonyms for most of the people.
Interesting.
Even the cover people wouldn't know. Like the variant covers, I just grabbed most of them from Fiverr. Like they're nobodies.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that'll be an interesting interesting piece to kind of examine in full. So it is possible to create something that does not require all the marketing and essentially any of the things that you said.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, except for the product.
Correct. But here's the thing. The thing is, I played by the domain of Kickstarter. So people are throwing up crap on Kickstarter that Kickstarter doesn't want or Kickstarter doesn't like. So I'll pull up my post because I have it screenshotted. But like a big thing is that Kickstarter has its own built-in audience.
Sure.
And so if Kickstarter has their own built-in audience, what kind of comics do they want? And you have to think, does my comic have the necessary traits that the Kickstarter built-in audience wants?
Okay. So what would you say those traits are?
There's a couple. There's like several. Obviously TNA, tits and ass.
See, it's funny because I have not seen that until recently. That is a recent thing I've seen on Kickstarter. Because
really?
I backed a single book that I didn't know was like that was their whole genre. I think it's Jamie Emmy.
Oh yeah.
I forget the name of the book that I backed.
Like, read me. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I forget the name of the book that I backed. But giant robots and like it was mech fighting and stuff, and I was like, oh okay, and it's like cheeky. All right, cool, whatever. And I didn't know that was his whole thing. Like, and then that seems to have like triggered within the Kickstarter algorithm the suggestions of like some more TNA, and I like genuinely didn't know that this stuff was on there because I hadn't been seeing it before.
Well, here's the thing. Same with my Kickstarter. Like on my personal account, I don't get that stuff either. And then when I made this secret account and I started backing all of the TNA projects, Kickstarter started suggesting me more TNA books. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't know any of you people. But if you look at like Brian Polito, he has like the top, like I think 3 or 4 spots in the top 10 Kickstarters of all time. And so,
but that's different. That is a recognizable brand. That is an age-old brand at this point.
that's, I mean,
That
that's
is
fair.
comic book royalty, if you will. Like,
I mean, that's fair, but you can still say that like if he's going to be in the number one spot, if I don't count Berserk, I don't count Keanu Reeves. If you count Lady
that's a whole
Death,
different thing.
yeah. But if you count Lady Death and all of his other stuff, he's kind of setting the tone. If he's bringing in the most backers on Kickstarter,
Sure.
he is kind of leading the way in terms of the ecosystem of Kickstarter buyers.
Like, I see what you're saying. So he's bringing.
You see what I'm saying?
He's bringing in. If he's bringing in, even if there's, I don't know, let's pick an arbitrary number, 5 million people on Kickstarter right now that are backers, that have been backers, and he brings in 1 million people who all back this specific project.
Yeah.
Well, that is 1/6 of the audience specifically wants this kind of thing automatically.
For sure.
The algorithm is going to favor them, of course. That absolutely makes sense.
And since he brings in the most backers, I think he does around like 3,500 on average. And he's in the top 1% of Kickstarter, of comic book Kickstarter. So if he's bringing in the most people, then his ecosystem is leading the way. You also have but then you have people who can play in the rules of Kickstarter while also not, and so you have like the common America people who do over 100,000 every single campaign, and they don't have tits and ass.
Common America? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's another top 1% Kickstarter series. They do over 100,000 each time.
Interesting.
And I'm good friends with them, but yeah, they do over 100,000 each time, and they don't play in the realm of tits and ass. Their character is a woman, and she's got the power girl type of thing, but they play in the realm where they just have a really good fan base. They put out 3 books a year. They're hardcover. They're really affordable. They're the only comic creators that can put out a 60-page hardcover for $10 on Kickstarter.
That's pretty
fantastic.
That's a great price point wise. Like, I won't lie, even something I don't know, that'd be an enticing price point, especially for
just to check
it. Yeah,
just to check it out. So TNA, you have Cthulhu. A lot of things. If you
Cthulhu, brought that up in your live. Yeah. And I thought that was an interesting point, because I had seen a bunch of recommendation, because I backed Russell Nolte's book, Cthulhu is Hard to Spell. A few times, he's done a few books of that, and because of that, I get a bunch of different recommendations for Cthulhu stuff, and it's very much. I was genuinely surprised by how much of it there was.
Yeah, there is a ton of Cthulhu. Pat Shand, Travis Gibb has his Cthulhu Invades, and then he picks like a fairy tale. He's done Alice in Wonderland. He's done Wizard of Oz. Next one he's doing is Peter Pan. You have Pat Shand is actually doing a Kickstarter this week that's called "I Summon Cthulhu to Fund My Kickstarter." That's what the comic's called.
That's hilarious.
And so because it's a trope. If you put Cthulhu in there, you're gonna do well. You have a better chance. And here's the thing: I'm not saying that if you do tits and ass, you're gonna get automatically funded. You're gonna have a better chance. You're gonna have a better chance on the platform. So what I see,
because I mean that's gonna attract people who aren't even necessarily comic book fans, people who are buying it just for the TNA. People are gonna. Yes. It's bringing in a different audience than just the people who are gonna read it.
But if you have creators who, for example, like crime noir comics don't do very well on Kickstarter. Horror doesn't do very well on Kickstarter. And when I say very well, it's harder to find those terms. Let's just say to get a campaign that's over $10,000, you're in the top 5% of people.
Yeah, I mean, you're Russell.
Top 5%.
You're basically Russell. Russell, I think, did a campaign under 10K, and he was flabbergasted because that was his thing for the longest time.
He'd be, gosh, my eye is killing me. Exactly. And so I think we have to set those terms. Like majority of creators are going to be within the 1,000 to 9,000. Like that's just where you're going to sit. That's the majority of comic book creators. And Kickstarter throws out this data. Like you can go on Kickstarter and look at their data like page, and it'll show you where every creator stands. Like to be in over 100,000, you're in the top 1%. If you're in 10,000 to 90,000, you're in the 5%. And then everyone else is either in the 1,000 to 9,000 or not funded. And so, horror doesn't do well. Detective comics don't do well. Maybe, I don't know if fantasy does well. And so what it comes down to is if Kickstarter's built-in audience, and I say this, is Kickstarter's rented land. You're going onto Kickstarter, you're going into this domain, and the domain has rules. We want these kind of books. And if you're not going to provide them with these kind of books, then you need to bring in outside people over into the platform. And so one of my things was most manga doesn't do well on Kickstarter. That's black and white. Anime style comics can do well if they have all the sexy covers, the sexy variants, the TNA. But like an actual black and white graphic novel that's manga inspired typically doesn't do very well on Kickstarter. And yet my my last one did $14,000. And it's
why do you think that is?
I play by the Kickstarter domain, and I do a ton of marketing outside the platform. I do a ton of marketing outside the platform. My content reflects the content that I create on YouTube and Twitter reflects the product that I make. So on my YouTube channel, I review manga and comics that I read, but mostly manga. And then I always end with I'm a creator who does manga-esque books. My Twitter is mostly, talking about creator stuff, but I'll review some manga and talk about some anime. And then when I put out a book, the people go, oh, he makes manga, he talks about manga, he makes manga videos, boom. And then, but also I've been building my audience. Like most creators don't build their audience, and they don't take the time to build their audience because they're like, oh, it's a lot harder for me to learn how to do it and to do it right. And so instead they'll do all the lazy ways of building an audience. And what they find once they release their Kickstarter is they actually didn't have an audience, and none of the things that they were doing worked. And so that's why I say manga typically doesn't do well, but I put it up there, and I've been grinding and I've been putting up consistent books, and now it did 14,000 last time. Let's Play is a webtoon comic about a girl. There's no TNA, and it's in the top 10 most funded Kickstarters. Where did she come from? She was an indie creator that threw her book up for free on Webtoon, and has 5 million subscribers on Webtoon. So when she does the physical book,
right,
her people went over to Kickstarter. So she had to bring her people over to Kickstarter, just like I had to bring some people over from my audience over to Kickstarter.
And that makes perfect sense, honestly. Like having a built-in audience that will go and back your stuff, that's huge. I mean, we talked about this the last time that we sat down and discussed something. That is a big reason why Eric July's whole thing got funded, is because he had a massive audience
that he built.
Right.
Yes.
And so what I want to touch on there is the how, right? The how you built. Now you said,
yeah.
I saw one of your comments, I think it was during your live, you said, people should be making more content. Yeah. And you said, well, that post took me 10 minutes to make, and that's content.
That's content. Yeah.
This
is content. What we're doing,
of course,
is content.
Yeah, of course. And we can both dice this up, have a bunch of reels and shorts, and like the true, like if you do your actual research, and this is outside of even just comics, this is every kind of content you want to make. If you do your actual research, this and like your lives and everything, where you can do a long form thing and then just cut it up and make a ton of other content with it, that is like the gold mine. That is the easiest way to do it. That is the simplest way to do it. But the reality of it is not a lot of people have the screen presence. Let's be honest, like the screen presence of being able to present. Like I have talked to like people who I know, people who I like, they just don't have camera presence, right? They sometimes they're not necessarily quick with their words, or that, you know, like it's not natural for some people. For me, I'm blessed. Like I built it up over years on a mildly successful YouTube channel. Like,
but I will say you don't have to have camera presence to make videos, because you can make a faceless YouTube channel that
it's
where you
true.
never
It's
show your
true.
face.
It's absolutely true. And there's a ton of other, right. And that you could do just, I mean, hell, like some of the biggest names in comics do faceless stuff. Like, what is it? Finch, David Finch. He does like draw and talks all the time. Like, right. He does like, here, this is how I draw. I still don't know what the man looks like.
Oh,
Like,
he's bald. So, but nowadays, if you look at his current streams, at least from this year, he has now put a camera so you can see his face.
oh, interesting. Okay.
So so that is a new, because I remember he would just show his hand, and now he is showing his face. But like, yeah, like you don't have to show your face. Like, write a YouTube script, get a microphone, or just use your phone and say, and record, you talking. Even if you're just shy, like, hey, what's up? Like, people resonate, people like authenticity.
Right.
And so, my most viewed YouTube video, I think, on my channel currently, I don't show my face at all. Like, at all. And I think it's close to 100,000 views. Like, I haven't shown my face once in that video. And most of my pre-recorded videos, I don't show my face. It's only really for my live shows do I show my face. And so, create. You need to. I think I interrupted you, but yeah, create content, and you create content.
No, so the not just the obviously the presence, like you said, that there is an authenticity to not being great on camera. But the point I wanted to bring up is kind of throwing it back to the last time we had a conversation.
Let's do it.
You specifically with this post and with a couple of the videos that you've done, you're rage baiting.
Not rage baiting.
Because you could have approached this subject from a kindness. And you kept saying in your comments, I'm trying to help people. Right? You kept saying in the comments and replies to people, you said, I'm trying to help people. I want to help people. But you came in to this conversation blaming people, being very aggressive with people, as opposed to, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Here are some myths. Here are some things I've seen work. Like, you could have done the exact same post. And I honestly joked around doing that, is making the same post, just not being an asshole about it. Like, you could have done that and just presented the same information, but you did it the way you did it. And especially now that you're saying that this is part of a bigger thing, that feels like you did it on purpose to get engagement, because you knew people would respond a type of way about it. Because the people who are like, I'm so sick of people here, like, I'm so sick of people complaining, they're going to back you up like, yeah, you're fucking right. And the people who just see it and read it, like when I first read it, I was like, wow, like that's really fucking aggressive. Like, that's how you started this conversation. That's kind of wild. And like, somebody brought this post to my attention and I was like, what the fuck? And so when I read it, I was like, wow, damn. And then somebody, when I first saw it, I saw it on your Twitter. Somebody even asked, like, what would you say to someone who has been doing all of the things you said? And your response was, make better product. And the way you phrased it in that response was like, you're like, your work is shit, do it better. Like, and while that may be true, I don't know, I didn't look at the person's work, but like, while that might be true, like, there's a way to present that without being aggressive and being like an asshole to people. Like, that's just what it felt like. And that's why I said, like, when I saw your live, you were in person, your tone was completely different, like 180 degrees opposite of that post. Like, on your live, it genuinely felt like you were trying to help people. Like, genuinely, like, here's the information I have, here's what I know. Like, that's what I didn't understand, and that's why this felt calculated. Like you did, and that at that point, it's rage baiting.
It's not rage baiting, because I'm not rage. Like, one, I'm not enraged. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to get people angry. Here's the problem. I don't know how long you've been in the indie comic. I've been in that group, and I only posted it in that group. I've been in that group for, I think, 7 years. Um, I have met so many awesome creators in that group. That group means a lot to me. That group has also made me so angry throughout the years because I've been saying for the last 5 years to people, start a YouTube channel and start learning how to make good content. The people in that thread, I've said the same thing to them over and over. I've said the same thing. Why don't you have a YouTube channel? How come you're not making content? So like, anyone's like, where did this come from? It's like, one, I only do it in this group, but like, one, I've been saying this for like 5 years. Like, someone put it in my comments section. They go, why are people shocked? Tyler's a marketing guy. He says the same stuff every single day. So I'm not rage baiting. And also, it's not coming out of like anger as well, not anger. And my tone on my live stream is the same as I wrote it. It is out of kindness. The kindest thing for me the kindest thing, someone on Twitter went, Tyler, what do you think of my post, my marketing post? They showed me the picture. This is all public. And I go, what's this for? And they go, to get eyes on my work. And I went, this image is absolutely awful. And you're not going to get anyone to care about your book because of it. Here's what you need to do. Change your canvas to 1080 by 1080. I need you to take out the text, zoom in on the book. So on a case-by-case basis, yeah, I'm told, like, if someone asks me this is crap, I will typically, like, give the time and go, this is why. It's kind of hard when you say your comic's crap to be like, your comic's crap without like reading it or going through it. But if someone can show me an image, I'll typically give them some feedback. And if someone goes, Tyler, what are the steps that I can do to take to get better, I'll give them the steps. My big problem when you're speaking as a whole to a group, you have to speak in like just like, this is the truth. Like, this is out there. This is the hard reality of being a comic book creator. This is it. And my biggest problem with indie comic creators is they're so stupid at times. Like, indie comic creators, I think are legit stupid sometimes. Like, they don't know what Google is. They don't know what YouTube is. Half your problems can be Googled. Half your problems can be YouTubed. How to sell a product. You can watch a million videos on that, on how to sell a product. Well, they're talking about, this millionaire is talking about how to sell a coffee. It's not going to apply to me. Switch the coffee to comic and you can figure it out. And so my thing is and I said at the beginning, I think a lot of indie comic creators are whiner babies, and they just need straight hand holding. So when I say make content, they're all like, well, what kind of content should I make? And then I'll say, well, you should make content. Well, first you need to create an ideal customer profile. What does your reader look like? What does your reader look like? What's their age? What's their this? After that, figure out what kind of content that they would want to watch, and then how does that compare to your comic, and then try to make comic. And then they go, oh, so and then they realize, oh snaps, this takes time, this takes thinking, this takes learning, and they don't want to do it, and then they go back to being a whiner baby. And here's the thing, I don't do whiner baby shit. If like, I'm not here to handhold you. I'll tell you, there's 5 ways to sell: cold DM, paid advertising, affiliate marketing, create content, word of mouth. I always choose create content. And then they go, okay, well, what do I do after that? Okay, then you should do this. Well, what do I do? It's always, well, what do I do? What do I do? At some point, you got to do it yourself. And so my post is filled with kindness. It's saying, hey, the harsh reality is you're the problem. Like, they keep thinking Kickstarter's the problem, the algorithm's the problem, the internet's the problem. No, none of that's the problem.
But I mean, we did establish early in this conversation here that the algorithm is the problem. Like, it's favoring a certain type of material.
If you change the word algorithm to audience, sorry, my kid's crying. Algorithm is this unknown, formula that no one really knows. But if you change it to audience, audience means your accountability. So the audience on Kickstarter is telling you what they would prefer. The built-in audience on Kickstarter says, we want these books. And if you don't give me this book, I don't want to read that book. So if your book isn't there, you need to bring outside people into the Kickstarter platform.
Here's the thing. In a truly fair world, I would agree with you. If all the machinery were truly solely driven by consumer behavior, I would 100% agree with you, because that's in a lot of situations, that is what I feel for other platforms on TikTok and stuff like that. The term shadow banned gets me the most annoyed than anything, because people say, oh, I'm shadow banned because people aren't seeing my post. Only this many people saw my post. But there is the potential that your post is just shitty, right? And that's true if the shit works the way it's purported to, right? The way they suggest that it is, right? This is how it works. People like this, that's what it shows them. But we know for a fact from various high level, I don't even know how that's a fucking thing, but high level fucking Senate committees and shit, that some of these companies, and I would wager probably most of them, let's be serious, direct the algorithm. TikTok has admitted it. Facebook has admitted it. I'm sure someone's doing it at Kickstarter. I'm sure someone at Kickstarter is like, hey, TNA is really doing it. Let's kind of dial it up a little more into that direction. Like, that's bringing in the money. Okay. We want a bigger cut of more money. Let's dial the algorithm in that direction to more people. Because, like, realistically, I backed one book that has TNA, and even that's even like, from in my perspective, a little tangentially, like it's not even the main thing of it. And now 3 out of 5 recommendations in my feed are TNA.
Okay, here's my response, because let's just say that's true. And even if it is true, because I know it's true at Webtoon, because when I was going to do a media thing with Webtoon, I said, who's in charge of the Canvas, their like indie section? Who promotes this stuff on there? And they went, oh, it's just these 3 girls. And I go, what? They go, oh yeah, these 3 girls, their job is to read all the books that get uploaded every day, and then they choose who gets to promote. So if you don't make a comic that one of these 3 girls likes, right, it's game over. So so let's just say that Kickstarter is like this. Even if that's the truth, and I'll just say it. Let's just say it's the truth. To me, I'll say to the creator, well, boohoo. Like, that's like, who cares? Boohoo. It doesn't change. It still doesn't change the fact that Kickstarter wants TNA, Cthulhu, and all the other stuff, the Kickstarter meta. It doesn't change that. So if it doesn't change, if Kickstarter still just wants this,
right,
and their audience says, we want this, but you make a book that's like this and it doesn't fit, then you need to go off platform, find readers, bring them into your shit, and then bring them over to Kickstarter.
Right.
You're so right. To me, it's like, and most creators don't get that. They think they can throw up a book on Kickstarter and it get funded, and then when it doesn't hit 10,000 or ever hits 10,000, they go, well, how come I'm not hitting 10,000? Kickstarter is one, I hate that indie creators think that Kickstarter is the end all be all. It's not. You can post your book somewhere else. There are several other avenues to make comics. So if you're but a lot of these creators go, oh, well, Kickstarter is the way I've got to do it. So if Kickstarter is your only domain and you're not going to be playing by the rules, then you need to bring other people into your shit. I had to do that with my manga. With my manga, I made YouTube videos for a year about One Piece, about Naruto, about Chainsaw Man, and just kept doing that for a year. And then then it was like, hey guys, I'm now making this manga called The Growth of Megafist. Start mixing that in with my marketing and the storyline of my marketing, and then when you release it, you hopefully get results. But I had to bring people over to the platform for Girl with the Megafist, because manga, like I said, typically doesn't do well on Kickstarter. No, dude, my kid's not crying, so I'm just like hearing stuff. That's so bad.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad your kids. That's a good thing. So, and here's the thing: I think you're correct. I think the regardless of what happens, your term you use the term rented land before, that Kickstarter is rented land. Effectively, all platforms are rented land.
Absolutely.
You're functioning in someone else's rule book, and you have no control over the rule book, and you have no control over how people interact with that platform. So if you do not bring your own audience to it, everything is up in the air. I have seen several books that have really like nail biter just crossed the finish line, not at huge numbers either, not at huge goals, where I've looked at it and I'm like, man, like this book should, like, this book is deserving, like it's quality, it's interesting conceptually, everything, but if you don't bring that whole audience, like if you don't bring enough people to sell that book, you're really
Yeah.
you're throwing it up in the air, because then you're saying like, hopefully, uh
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
there's no way to control that. So like, to your point, like you made content about manga, about anime, and then that's what people came to see,
Yes.
and then you said, hey, by the way, I'm doing this thing.
100%.
So leech off of other properties, other known IPs,
Yeah.
because that's how
You have
people,
to.
that's right, that's how people make those connections, right? um
Yes.
so then why'd you make a video about Superman being bi?
That's a great question. So the um the reason why, so I wanted to do this series called Reader Weep. And I was like, okay, like what kind of book could I do it on? And someone on Twitter that day had posted this huge rant about how they hated that Superman was bi. And so I was like, you know, and there was a part of me, my instant kind of like reaction was like, yeah, like Superman's not bi. And then I was like, and I did some research and I was like, oh, it's his son. Okay, so it's not Superman. How do I feel about this? And then I kind of realized, I was like, um, I haven't. I get angry when people go, oh, that movie. Someone was like, oh, Rings of Power is awful. I went, did you watch the first episode? And they're like, no, I'm not watching that. I'm like, oh, well, you can't really have an opinion on that.
Right.
I watched the first episode and I didn't like it, but I'm at least I watched it, so I'm allowed to have an opinion. And so I kind of had that. I had that like feeling with the Superman, Son of Kal-El. So I was like, oh man, like I have this opinion on this Superman storyline. I don't like. I'm saying this sucks. I haven't even read it. So the goal of it was, okay, well, I haven't read it. I have this new series called Reader Weep, and I think this would be a good comic book, because even before then, I'm still a comic book reader. I did a video about Superman Unchained. I did a video about Batman the Imposter. So it's not just anime and manga content,
Sure.
because I do have I have a fan base of people who like comics, and I like comics too. So I was like, this is a good video to do it on. And then with YouTube, how the domain works on YouTube is you could have the greatest video in the whole wide world. If your title and thumbnail suck, no one's watching it.
Very true.
Um,
Very true.
title and thumbnail is the most important thing, and then it's the video. And so I was like, okay, what? I was like, what's the title and video? Okay, easy face is me going like, eh, with cringing with this the famous image of them kissing, and I'm like, okay, perfect, thumbnail done. Like that'll get clicks. I'm like, okay, what's next? And I was like, what could the title be? And I'm like, oh, easy. I think it's called like, is this Superman good, or SJW woke, whatever, something. I try to use the hype words, and it's kind of crazy because I don't ever like you. I think that's the only video where I say SJW. Like I have a series called The Boy. I have a series of videos called The Boy Who Cried Woke, and it's actually a series it's about conservatives who yell woke, and I go, who complain about things being woke and they're not, and I'm like, calm down. So I only say woke if I have in my videos, if I do a like, this isn't woke, stop complaining, like grow up. But then that was the first video I did SJW, and I was like, I think that will. It's really not my brand, because I don't really like saying that, but we'll just see. We'll just throw it in the title. And yeah, and then I made a video. So then I read the series, and then I just recorded my thoughts on it. And so that's really why I did it. It wasn't like this rage bait angle. It really came from the fact that I saw an image, someone was complaining, someone on Twitter was rage baiting, and then I went, yeah, this sucks. Oh wait, I haven't even read it. I should read it and come up with. And I don't know if you watched the whole video, but I said that the book wasn't that bad and it wasn't that big of a deal. Um, I thought,
It really wasn't. It really wasn't. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but like the book's not. It's not the fucking horrible mess that everyone tried to make it out to be.
but all I will say, the only thing I said was that it just came out of nowhere. That if you took out that moment of them kissing, it didn't move the plot. It didn't do anything for the plot. That's all I said. It didn't
Yeah, not
move the
particularly
plot.
because it made the entire storyline more personal as opposed to it being more of a this is Superman protecting people who need
Correct.
protecting. It made it more of a this is Superman protecting like this specific person who he cares about. It almost felt like I don't know. It's a weird story. Not my
I just
favorite. Not my
thought,
favorite
you know,
use of like the villain, like because that's a villain from Stormwatch era. Like there's just so many things that were kind of like
don't know.
yeah, the DC like blending in with the Wildstorm is like
But yeah,
kind of
so
a shit show.
that was the point that was the point of me making the video.
But so
That
would
was
you
that
say
was
that
all.
like with that with the like granted those are platform specific requirements and it who's to say it wouldn't have done as well with a different thumbnail and a different title, but isn't that rage baiting like kind of
No,
because you're looking for people to have a visceral reaction to that and
isn't
more often than not the people who are mad about that, the people who are already outraged are they're going to either be outraged that you're making this video or they're going to be outraged at the content of the video. So like it is rage baiting.
so.
Like
This is my
and
problem.
I
This
don't
is
necessarily know that that's a bad thing.
it's
I
not.
think that's just the
And
nature of the internet at this point.
I'll tell you this. This is why I don't like the term rage baiting. People either love you or hate you. And if they're in the middle, if you're in the middle, they don't care about you.
Right.
You're nothing.
Yeah. I want to be
So
loved. I want to be loved by everyone.
I want to be loved by everyone too. But at the same time, if people hate me, that's fine. But if they just think me as of this like I I flip flop, I flounder, then they don't really remember me. And I think that's my big like. Paul said something. He was like, Tyler, you're very popular in the indie comic scene. I'm like, no, I'm not. Most people don't like me. He goes, yeah, but people know who you are, regardless if they hate, like, love you or hate you. And like, that's fair. And if people hate me, I would just go, why did they hate me? Most of the time, people hate me. They don't know me, and or they saw something and they didn't really understand it. So for me, if you make a video, your video has to elicit. If you want to make a video and get views, you need to elicit an emotion. It has to. Otherwise, what's the point of watching the video? What's like every video that does well needs to have an emotion, whether it's shock, awe, love, revenge, rage. When I did the video about Sean Gordon Murphy, I said the boy who cried woke. It's about Sean. People were complaining about Terry McGinnis being Asian. The point of that, the point of that is for the people who are, I guess, raging on the internet, and I want to enrage them. I want them to go, oh yeah, this guy agrees with me, and they click on it, and then they go, oh, like maybe I'm overstepping my bounds, and it's not that big of a deal. And so when I make a video that says, is this comic good or is it SJW garbage? I want the people who believe it's SJW garbage to come into that video going, he's gonna reaffirm my feelings and I'm gonna rage. And I want the people who like it to go, no, it's not. It's actually good, and I'm here to support. And then after that, you can guide the person through it, because like it was a 6-issue story. That thing only happens issue 5, and so most people only know that one splash page on it. The rage people only know the splash page on issue 5, and all
Right.
the people who loved it, they know the whole story. And so that's why I wanted to read the whole series, because as I'm reading the whole series, the rage people are like, oh, okay. Okay, there's actually none of this thing that I hate. Oh, there's actually, oh, he's not gay. He's not really acting gay. Oh, there's actually no gay stuff right here. Oh, he's actually fighting. Oh, there's actually a story. Oh, there's this. And then you go, and then this kind of thing happened. And so, but yeah, I think if you're not eliciting an emotion, you're not going to get a reaction, and then no one's going to care. So here's this. When I said that Common America is $10 for a hardcover, you were like, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's their marketing. They say
Okay.
this. They say no other indie comic does 60-page full colored hardcover for $10. That immediately elicits an emotion of going, oh my gosh, you're right. No one ever does that. That's a great price. Even if I don't know what this is, I'm willing to check it out. I do the same thing with my book. 200-page graphic novel, $15 on Kickstarter. It's the best price. No one can beat my price on Kickstarter with the page count and price. And so anytime I do something, you're like, is it calculated? I go, no, it's not necessarily calculated. I just know how to elicit an emotion, and I can do it with all my tweets. I can, there was a creator, I was about to say her name, but I don't know if she's on it. But she was like, I have 5,000 Twitter followers, but I get no engagement. It's Twitter's fault. And I go, no, you just don't know how to tweet. You don't know how to make good content for that platform. I have way less I have like 2,000 followers on Twitter, and my I can get anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000 to even 100,000 on my tweets to my followers of 2,000, because I know how to elicit an emotion. And emotions don't have to be a bad thing. You don't have to always do negative emotions. You can do emotions that bring in peace. You can do an emotion that inspires people. And so just creators mostly don't know how to create content that elicits emotion. And then they get scared if they do make content because they're like, oh, that's rage baiting. And to me, I'm like, who cares if it's rage baiting? Like, who are you trying to appease? The other creators? They're not your audience. Like, they're not your audience. Every person in that comment section who was like, oh, you were being mean. I don't give a fuck. You're not my reader. If you don't want to buy my book, don't buy my book. I'll replace you with 5 other people. I don't need your money. Like that, so if that's the thing. If they want people to love me or they want me to hate me. If they hate me, it's fine. I'm gonna go market to the people who love me. But at least you know who I am.
So with this, so your approach is to always elicit an emotion. Is that why you slandered my name in the Facebook comments?
I slandered your name. I didn't slander your name. I got a video, and I'll let you.
Oh, I have the
the
video is on the channel. It's available. People are watching it. So the fact, so
Whose
you called
your
me,
channel?
it's on this channel.
Oh,
It's
how'd you get that? Did you post it? Because mine's
yeah, I
unlisted.
posted it right after you.
Word. Um,
Um,
I
why did you?
I'll
So let's start here. Why did you say that I was being a racist?
okay. So here's the thing. You and I, and this is all just going to come down to terms, and like this is going to have to be like agree to disagree, because like I'm not like going in because so like I've already prepped my sentences in case you ask me this.
Okay,
Because I'm here to talk about comics.
sure.
But if you want to talk about this, okay. Do you can a white person be racist towards a black person? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes. Can a black person be racist towards a white person?
that is a more complicated answer that you do not wish to discuss. I understand.
The answer, okay, your answer is it depends. My answer is yes. Can it? Yes. My answer is yes.
If you're
Any
talking, yeah,
race,
because you're coming at it from a very a denotational view of the word, right? You are reading the word as it is defined in the current dictionary. The problem with that is that language evolves and language has changed. We invented race. White people invented race. Race didn't exist up until a certain point. So not the way that we use it these days. So that term is defined by the culture at the moment. And at the moment, because it is overwhelmingly and historically been used against the minority and against non-whites and by those in power, which have almost always been the whites. That
Not
is
the
why.
not the black on black racism that's occurred, for thousands of years. Not the brown on brown, racism.
That is not
Not
that, but overwhelmingly, like overwhelmingly,
every
like
culture.
empower.
White people being racist towards other white people. Like, dude, like so.
But how is that racism?
What? I'm just saying.
How is
Every like,
white people hating on white people in any fashion racism?
can black people be racist towards other black people?
If they are being prejudiced against them based on their skin color, yeah, it's called colorism. It happens all the time. There's a discussion about it happening right now because of certain castings.
Yeah. So white people, can't go, hey, you're Irish or Italian, like you're less
They
than
did
me.
for a long time, and then white people, as a group, decided now you're white too.
Just saying. My point is, if a black person ate, I'm just saying, let's as someone who's Chinese, if I go to someone who's white and I go, I hate you, I'm going to discriminate you. I'm going to discriminate you solely because of your skin color. That's racism. That is racism to me. The definition of racism is discriminating someone based off of their race. And so if I, as a Chinese person, discriminate against anyone, white, black, to me, it's racism. And so to you, that's what I'm saying. To you, you can't be racist to a white person. To me, you can be racist to all people.
I think you could be prejudiced. I think you could be discriminatory, but I think racism, the way that we look at it these days, is systems of power. And the systems of power overwhelmingly, especially in this country, are with the white people.
I'm not here to talk politics. I'm not here to talk politics.
No, I'm just okay. So the reason that you said that I was being racist was because I did not acknowledge that.
I don't think I even said. I don't think I said racist.
You said that you took down a video where I was being racist specifically. So that's just, I wanted to address that first before we get into the more important question. You claimed that I was okay with CP and I refused to even say it.
And I'll say this. Do you think it's okay for illustrations of 12-year-olds giving blowjobs and having anal sex in books? Is that okay?
If that is your story, if you made a book about your story, who the fuck am I to stop that?
Okay, that's fine if you do it, but if someone reads it,
and the book that we were discussing was explicitly for adults only, so that was a failing of the school. That was a failing.
No, and I'll tell you why. Genderqueer, yes. Because inside the book is a comic, and it's also from the creator, who is begging people to put this book into schools and putting into libraries. So to say it was for adults is absolutely false. When the creator created a comic telling children,
there are no 18-year-olds in schools,
middle schools. It's asking for children. My point is, the definition of CP, we'll keep your show clean. CP is any depiction of a minor doing sexual acts, and that can be a photograph, that can be an illustration. And so to me, I think genderqueer is basically CP. I think all of those comics are CP that we're seeing, and I've made a video on all these books that are getting banned that have what I would classify as CP. And I think
Mouse is being banned.
Assassination Classroom, the manga, is also being banned. It's not the fact that it's being banned. I'm just saying books that have what I consider CP. I don't care that they're being. I'm fine with them being banned, and
and that being banned from places where they shouldn't be. That's absolutely reasonable. There's I think a lot of media that shouldn't be where it's available to children. Like there's no question in my mind about that.
Okay, but my stance is I still don't think it's appropriate at any level to depict children that are minors in any form, like doing sexual acts, like seeing it visually.
I agree. sit in.
Okay, well there we go. See, and then there we
So
go. And look,
I'm glad we cleared that up.
there we go. There we go. There we go. And
So
I took down that video. I took down that video, and I was like, you know what? Things were heated. Who knows what was said? Let's just take this down because let's just keep it to comics. And so I'll delete my comments, and I'll apologize right now because if you're, I mean, here's the thing. If you're okay with it,
I have no I personally, but the thing about that is also I am not a lawyer. I do not know the legalities of that. If that book is illegally presenting material, that should be addressed legally, like expeditiously. Like
I'm coming at it just from a moral standpoint.
But yeah, from a moral perspective, I personally, I no, that's like, there's no fucking point there. There's absolutely no point. It's not.
There we go.
Okay. And the other thing is that morality is incredibly a personal thing, and it varies across many different things across fucking recent news. Anyway, not even going into that shit. But like morality is a whole fucking different thing. But I also think that morality shouldn't dictate the legal system. So that's why I'm saying, like, if this book is presenting material in an illegal fashion, it should absolutely be dealt with in a legal.
And we could have a whole other conversation about. I mean, ultimately, I deleted that like the next day because I was like, we didn't talk about comments, we talked about politics, and that's not what I'm here for. You won't find any of that.
But to swing it back around to like the main subject of this conversation here, right? The big thing here is how we produce better crowdfunding campaigns. And to go back to that previous video, we started that conversation talking about Eric July and the fact that he built his platform on and I would say he would probably be the absolute highest example of rage baiting. He did not nothing I ever saw on his channel came from a genuine critical point of view. It all came from a rage bait point of view. I gave him a chance so many fucking times because I was like, oh, this dude is like a different perspective. Like I am someone who, if you talk to my wife, annoyingly listens to both sides of the story. And I want to see, like, I give everybody a chance. I tried 3 different times to fucking listen to Alex Jones. I fucking gave him a chance, but the motherfucker just within 3 minutes. 3 minutes is the longest I ever got out of it, just out of left field. And I'm like, you're a fucking nut job. You're a fucking nut job. I can't do it. So like, when I followed, like I was subscribed to Young Rippa like fucking a while, and every once in a while I jump on and I'd be like, what's he talking about? What's the content? And every single time it was, this is woke garbage. This is feminist garbage. Like there was no actual critical analysis. There was no actual, hey, I read this. It almost always felt like he read like 2 pages, found something he hated, and was like, turn the camera on, let's go.
Probably didn't even read it. Probably waited until it popped up on Twitter. The one panel.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think that's where the building your audience is an important question, because like you said, build a profile of your ideal customer. Yes. But then in your comments, one of the replies, and I read this and I genuinely, because you were the one that brought it up, and it threw me off. It threw me off completely. You said, I don't care if you're black, white, straight, gay, trans, Nazi.
Yeah.
That's, you don't care if Nazis are reading your shit.
My point in saying that is that I don't vet my customers. I don't care. Like I don't have to go through and I'm not like, sure, I'm not,
you're never going to be 100%. Like you're never, like no one's ever going to be 100%. Like this has happened many times on YouTube where huge people have had fans do all sorts of wild shit, go like harass other creators and shit because of like a internal beef or whatever. And they can't control that audience. So like the fact that like, just the fact that you like specifically brought that up was just a weird, I read it and I put my phone down because I was like, what the fuck?
Well, did you? The next comment is me saying I'm not. My point is saying that is that I don't vet my customers. Like, I don't care who buys my book because I'm not. Here's the thing: if I'm marketing my book, I'm marketing to my ideal customer profile. Now, if my ideal customer profile is a Nazi, then yeah, I'm making content for Nazis. But I'm not. I'm making content for a specific type of reader. And if a Nazi buys it, like one, how am I gonna know?
Right.
And so my point there is like I don't care who buys my book. Like I'm not vetting it. Like you can be Comicsgate, you can be anti-Comicsgate, you could be conservative, liberal. I could care less. But if you buy my book, you bought my book. Thank you.
On a very practical level, I completely understand, and it's true for everyone. Let's be honest, it's true for absolutely everyone. It's true for Bud Light, who's making like a really, for whatever reason, is making like a really big play in a certain direction with their marketing these days. But like, it's like they don't care who buys their stuff. They're just riding the conversation. This is the conversation. This is somebody who is popular.
They probably care now.
Yeah.
$4 billion lost in 2 days. The CEO apologized.
Apologize
yesterday.
For what?
Sorry that we did that.
No,
you can go look it up. Go look it up.
We're gonna look it up right now. What are you talking?
Yeah,
like
go look it
he
up.
Apologized?
He this is what he said. He said, I apologize that we did stuff. They basically apologized for making a political statement. They didn't apologize for the actual ad, just saying that we entered a political conversation.
Oh yeah, that's no, all. Yeah, but that's not an apology for that. That's an apology for, oh, we let some fucking 22-year-old TikTok
cosplayer,
TikTok fan decide, no, and we're not going to do that. I'm talking about whoever the marketing person was that decided to do what they did.
Because
that was one can. That was one can. They didn't produce like a whole line of cans with this person's image on them. Like they sent one can to one person who has a massive following, and then that went fucking wild. And that they pulled a complete rage bait. There was some young kid, 22-year-old, just out of fucking college, that was like, dude, we're gonna fucking do this. We're gonna send this to like the most unlikely person who would have a Bud Light. The most unlikely person. Cool. A trans woman. Let's send her some shit, and we're gonna fucking just let the whole thing play out. People are gonna go crazy. Everyone who hates it is gonna make a shit ton of videos destroying the product, blah blah blah. Like it played out exactly like you could have scripted this, how well it played out for them. Because it was like, when's the last time you were thinking about Bud Light before 3 weeks ago? Never.
Yeah,
fucking never.
But I mean, do you think they like the fact that they lost $4 billion?
No, because it was a terrible marketing play. Because from a marketing perspective, that was the wrong audience to go to.
Correct.
Bud Light is shit beer. People don't fucking drink it.
Yeah,
but the people who do drink it are the people who don't like that. So like it was a terrible marketing move.
They didn't market to their ideal customer profile 100%. Yeah, that's the thing. They should have marketed to their ideal customer profile. And if transgenders and LGBT people, if they drink it, great.
All the
Who
better.
Cares?
All the better.
But exactly. They're not their target. Where were we going with this? Well, the Nazi thing.
Just the building your customer profile, and that's like you said, that you brought it home perfectly there. They were not selling to their customer. They were trying to, for some reason, expand their customer base, even though they own like 7 fucking companies that pretty much cover 99.9% of the fucking beer drinking customer base. So I don't fucking understand why they needed to. Bud Light needed to make a fucking play like this. It was a bad call on so many fucking levels.
Keep going. I'm trying to figure out how this all ties into.
But the fact that, like you're saying, like it doesn't matter who buys the stuff. If you sell to the people you want to buy it, anything else is incidental, right? Anything else is fucking icing on the cake. Like, but you still need to make the fucking cake. Like, you still need to produce the actual like transactions that you need to make the thing successful. So like you said, you could cold DM, you can create content, you can market,
Paid
and
ad. Yeah.
that is a all
Well,
over the place. That's an art in and of itself. Like
marketing is there's 5 ways to market and sell, and it's cold
I meant,
DM.
sorry, I meant paid.
Yeah.
I meant paid marketing.
So yeah. Sorry,
Like paid
So cold
advertising.
DM, paid advertising, work with an affiliate publisher or company, create content, word of mouth, and each of them come with their pros and cons.
Absolutely. I would say paid marketing has a lot of cons because it's very fickle and it's very like it's almost honestly to the point where I think it would be best left to people who are already doing it well. So like the not backer kit, but like there's like a couple companies that like do it. And like I see ads on Facebook all the fucking time, and it's all from the same company, but it's like, check out this book, right? And you got to give them a cut because they do a good job. Because like I've backed a bunch of books because of that. Because like never heard about them, never knew about the creators, and I was like, oh, boom, check this out. Cool.
To learn how to do it like yourself, paid advertising, it's okay. You better have like $1,000 you're ready to just lose.
Yeah, easily.
Just to practice. Yeah. So those are the 5 ways, and I always tell people create content because you probably don't have any money, and creating content means that a lot of indie creators, they try to do the route of work with an affiliate or a publisher, and they'll go with a publisher, and which is fine. But then the biggest con to working with a publisher is you typically don't own the rights of the book, and you're not making money because you're not going to make money at a publisher unless you're selling in high volumes. And most comic creators, even in the professional space, still have day jobs. And so if you want to make better money, I always say don't work with ask yourself, like, what can that publisher do for you that you can't, like, that you actually can't on your own.
Right.
And this is coming from someone who is currently signed with 2 publishers. And I say, don't work with a publisher unless like they can do what you legit can't. And if you can do it, don't go with them. Do it yourself and reap the rewards. With Growth of Megafist, the Kickstarter made 14,000. I'll probably get a keep around 9 or 10 of it. If I went with the publisher, I'd probably get maybe $1,000 if I'm lucky from that campaign. Actually, no, I would make even less than that. And so the point is, it's like, why would I do that? I wouldn't.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I see a lot of people on Twitter kind of announcing like, oh, got picked up by this studio or that studio, got picked up, whatever publisher. And then I don't see the book.
You don't see the book.
And then even people who are like, there is some Grant Lankard, who I had on a while back here, a couple weeks back. He recently signed with a publisher because they have the framework for the distribution that he just didn't have, and he wanted to take that off his plate. And I think that's a very reasonable, like, hey, you're doing all this other stuff. You want to take XYZ off your plate. You found a publisher that will do that for you for a reasonable cut. I think that's perfectly fine. I think it makes perfect sense. I think there are situations where there are some publishers. There's one publisher in particular, which I'm getting really ready to just like start calling them out on their bullshit. That has been like really, really heavy producing stuff, and then a lot of shit ends up being late. And then just today, the like main dude posted, oh, because one book was late, I missed out on 100K. And I was like, one book? Like, I've backed 3 books that were all late. What one book was late? Like, if you're a publisher, like, I see a lot of people who address themselves as a publisher, right? They have a company name, and it's all this, but then they are constantly late with books. Or
does this publisher start with an E?
It does.
All right. Does the person in charge, their first name start with an M?
It does.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. That's just what I've seen. And I have been asking literally for months hey, when's this single issue comic book that's coming out? Like, when's this single issue coming? And it's always been at the end of the month, next month, next month. And it's like, we're several months away from when that was supposed to be due. And the last
For
time they
sure.
did this, it was like a year. And this person's late and this person's running behind. And it became like, it's always a thing, right? It's never just like,
Mhm.
here's your shit. And then to have these books be late, but then to also from all the from the previous campaigns constantly get bombarded with like, hey, here's our new book, here's our new book, here's our new book.
Yeah,
Can I get the old book first?
for
Can we
sure.
just
Yeah.
get and that's why I think a lot of people kind of get ahead of themselves and get into situations where it's like, hey, I'm producing 5 things at once. Oh shit, I didn't fulfill one yet. Like I didn't
Yeah.
fulfill the
Well, a
first
bit.
issue yet.
Well, a big problem, and that typically comes with writers, because artists can typically only work on 1 or 2 projects at a time.
Right.
Problem is, yeah, you have these indie creators, and they just get so giddy, where they go, "Oh, I've got a new series. I've got a new series. I just came up with a new idea," and then they start like going, "Oh, I don't have enough money," and like it's like, well, yeah, because you keep hiring all these artists for all these series, and like you can't even make one good one. Now you have 5. Like figure out how to make one good series, and then learn how to branch out. Like you don't need to make 5 semi good books. Learn how to make one really good book. And also it also, going back to like the content marketing, like for me it's kind of easy because I go, okay, I have a book that's like manga. And then because it's more like the shonen battle action, there's tons of action in my book. I'll pick the manga that's very action oriented. But if you're a writer who's doing a supernatural book, and then an MMA book, and then a crime book, and then a superhero book, what kind of content are you going to make? Because you have to basically go. Your audience is now just people who read comics. Well, that is so vast in genre that now it's basically, if you market to everyone, you market to no one. And so you're gonna have to be able, and so that's why it's like, just pick one series that you want to like go for, and like try to make content, or try to find just like a generalized way to connect everything you're doing with your content. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that there are several different indie companies that are kind of all over the place. But then you look at somebody like Fourth Wall, like Danny's, I think, is doing a great job bringing everything together. Like all of his books happen in the same universe. Like I just finally read one of the titles, and like the character just like stops by and says what's up, like helps out with a fight for one of the other characters in one of the other books. And I was like, oh, cool. Like that feels like the kind of shit I always want to see when I see like a Superman book. Like when I see a Batman book and it's like, hey, can you like run in real quick, and like Superman pops in for a second, or a Nightwing, just this Batman, when somebody just happens to be like, hey, I'm nearby. Do you need an assist? That shit's awesome to me, because that makes it feel like a connected universe. So even if one book is like the supernatural, like he's got like an alien fucking crown, like I have so many questions about this book. The other one is very much like down to earth, like vigilante hero, like not the same fucking thing at all, but like, hey, what's up? Kind of like, let me just
Yeah.
hop out real quick.
Like,
And that's like, oh, now I have questions about this if I'm reading Ace Blade,
yeah.
or if I'm reading King Supreme. I'm like, hey, who's Ace
Yeah.
Blade? So like, same thing.
Yeah. Just like, yeah, creators should like what title do you want to be known for? That like right now people go, oh, Tyler, he's the guy who makes The Girl with the Mega Fists. But I have other books. I have Demons. I have Entity. I have My Life as RPG. I have Coins of Judas. I have I have all these other. I have Chefs. I have all these other books and series that I've done or I'm working on. But like I'm known as the guy who does The Girl with the Mega Fist, and so because that's the
That's
series that
interesting,
like,
because like
yeah,
I saw that, like I saw that you were working on that, and I was like, oh, that's not really like my thing at all. And then
yeah,
I looked at your site and I was like, oh, Entity. I'm like, what's this about? And then I bought the digital copy and I was like, all right, this is cool. So then I ended up getting the trade, because like,
did I send it to you?
yeah.
Oh, that
You're like, am I behind?
I just I'm like I think I'm a week or two behind
Oh
on
no,
my
no,
shop
I've had it for a
orders.
while. I've had it for a while.
I know, but like I'm very if I get an online, I think 90% of people who buy from my online store email me saying, "Yo, where's my book?" And I'm like, oops,
No, no,
the
no.
notifications. That's
I was
funny.
good.
That's hilarious.
I backed so many Kickstarters and shit that like shit just comes in and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? Like
That's
that's half
hilarious.
my TikTok content is what's in
Uh,
this box. Like I don't know where it's coming from.
but yeah, like yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I have like I'm like this like on Wednesday I'm unveiling that secret project, and
Right.
maybe people, I don't know how many people like that or how many people will jump in on it. I mean, currently I have 50 people who have never heard of it jump in on it. And then
So
I
yeah, so
have like a
you're gonna have it you're part of your built-in audience, right? You're like, what do you let's say average get on a view for one of your videos?
um if it's a pre-recorded video, it's anywhere between 300 and 1,000.
Okay. So let's get 750. So let's say 750 people watch this video, and how much of that would you expect to maybe not necessarily expect. I feel bad like expect makes it feel like it's like
10,
an entitlement.
10,
10. Okay, but
10.
so that's 10, right? So it was 50, that's 60 backers. Like that could make the difference of a backing or not backing. Because even at
Well, I
10 bucks,
mean,
let's say it's 10 bucks a pop, like that's $100. Like you could be $100 away from a goal.
and then well, those are 10, those are just yeah, those are 10. But then um I also have 700 people who have backed me on Kickstarter who are on my email list, and so who will show up. Like my last one, I think I did over 300, and um, so like maybe out of those 300, I get 100. At this point, I have
You
yet
had
to do any.
300 backers on your last book.
Yeah,
Outstanding.
yeah.
Well done.
Thanks. Um, yeah. Let's see if I can pull up. Yeah, I
Those are good
had like
numbers.
300. I think I had like 320 backers.
Yeah, those are good
And
numbers.
so like I'm positive it'll be like maybe 100, 150. Like, but then at that point, the thing with Kickstarter, a lot of people don't realize as well is if you just keep showing up with a good product
Right.
and a good series, people are gonna um people are gonna it's gonna if this as long as the comic is good, which is why I say like your product needs to be good. If it's not good, it doesn't even matter. Like as long as you show up, like it's gonna grow. So like you put out a first one, and let's say it makes $1,000, but it was good. You fulfill it. You come out with the next one. Maybe you'll make 2,000. And if as long as you're just seeing it go up, just keep putting out stuff. Eventually you'll learn the thing that you need to do to make it just
Right.
pop up. Um, but most people can't. Most people are one stuck on the fact that they can't make a good comic. Then the two, they don't. Their comic isn't meant for Kickstarter, and then three, they're not marketing outside of the platform. So because they're stuck on those three pain points, they're not seeing the growth that they want. So then they start complaining about everything, and then that's where my post comes in and says, "Stop complaining. This is actually your fault because you don't know that these three things are happening."
Okay.
Like
So let's
that,
touch on those
yeah.
real quick. What do you think makes a book not meant for Kickstarter? What do you think is like not fit for that platform? Like just something
Yeah,
that you've seen, like a
I'm
book that
talking
you're like, it
about.
just shouldn't have been here. Or do you
I'm
just
just
mean
talking
like
about.
it's not playing within the market?
I'm just talking about the market, like
Okay.
organically. Like
Gotcha.
I put this the book out that I did, and it organically funded in 15 hours with no marketing. I literally just hit the live button. I went to work, went to the gym, came home, and it was like, you've been funded. I'm like, really, in 15 hours? Thank you. That's cool. Um,
So
I showed
I
it.
gotta believe. Did you combine? Is it like a Cthulhu with TNA? Because that's fucking hilarious.
No, no,
Just like the concept of that is wild.
that would be funny. I did send it to the guy who I edit, and he just messaged me, and he was just like, "Of course you did A, B, and C," because he knows and it's like you're right. I made this because I've put out books. I put out my demons book, and it's a supernatural mystery, and I got like 70 backers, and that was me every single day. YouTube live shows. marketing, crying. And I did that for 3 volumes and I never broke 70 backers. And that was just me like, and like, I was like, okay, like this isn't working. Like this isn't working. So I canceled the series. And I'll still get people buying it as an add-on, but like it's not one that's launchable. So
So is
yeah,
it
number
some
one,
is it something, so with something like that doesn't fit, that it like you said requires a lot of fucking work to maintain to get across the line, is that something you think would be better on like an Indiegogo? Because I think on Indiegogo
no.
you get to keep the money you get regardless of if it hits the goal, right? Or that's an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, it's called their flex funding. I'll tell you this, Indiegogo does not have a built-in audience of comic buyers.
Interesting. Okay. So
I'll
that's like
say
you
that
got to bring them, or there's just not going to happen.
you either got to bring them or you need someone to tell, or you need to go on a live stream and have that's an Indiegogo only live stream, and then that person tell their audience to back it. I
Ah,
have I've done 4 Indiegogos, and each of them I never had a repeat customer, which shocks me.
that's
Like
crazy.
I have 70% of my backers at this point are
Wow,
returning backers.
that's cool.
With Indiegogo, anytime I do something, something's new. And I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, why are they all effing new? I had a spreadsheet and I'm like, you can like put them all on the list and it says delete duplicates and it says no duplicates. I'm like, how are there no duplicates? Like, and I was like, okay, what did I do on this one? And each one I went on a different show and that person was like,
Mm,
you want, and so I'm like, okay, so Indiegogo people, and I'm not saying that this happens for everyone. I mean,
sure.
I've had the girl with the megafist volume 1, 2, and 3 on Indiegogo for freaking 40 days currently, and I haven't had one backer.
Wow.
I haven't had one backer in 40 days,
Because you
and
haven't been
yet
on a show and no one knows.
no one knows, and yet
Effectively, yeah. So there's no one's just checking. Like I'll be honest, like I go on Kickstarter and just be like, hey, what's recommended? But
100%.
I've never gone to Indiegogo. Like I've backed a few things on Indiegogo, but like it
You
was,
heard
first of all, it
someone,
was
you had to
years
hear about
ago.
it.
Yeah, it was like something that I heard through paid advertising. So like I
Yeah.
saw a thing and I was like, all right, let me check it out. Or it was something that was just like a fucking YouTube channel was just like, hey, check this out. It's on Indiegogo. That's the only way I've ever gotten to Indiegogo. I've never gone there and be like, what's going on Indiegogo?
Exactly. I'm like pulling up my Indiegogo. Like I
And
have
I'll be honest, I'm probably like the best like example of like a rando customer, because I bought like, where is it? I bought this. I bought this multiple copies. The one shiny, one's not. I bought the fucking sketchbook. I bought
oh,
them
there we go.
digitally before it went to volumes. I haven't read a single page of this. I'm the
You just
perfect
bought it.
fucking rando customer. Like if
That's
I think it
hilarious.
looks cool and the price point's right, like you said, when you said $10 for a hardcover, I was like, let me like think about this, remember this. I'm gonna go check it out, right?
Yeah.
Because that's just I'm like the perfect rando customer because I browse. And so like
Hmm.
if I'm saying like I've never browsed Indiegogo, like that's probably an indicator, I'll be honest
People,
with you.
yeah. So I'm looking at my Indiegogo, and so I actually did 400 backers on my last Kickstarter. So I did 400 backers on the Growth of Megafist Volume 1, 2, and 3, and I've gone 0 backers from Indiegogo. Um,
Jeez,
and so
that's a crazy difference. That's not that's that is a very statistically significant difference.
yeah, and I'm and here's the thing: maybe my book isn't what the platform wants. Maybe the platform wants
Possible.
comic skate books. Like maybe like the platform wants comic skate books, or even or if you break it down to even not comic skate books, they all do '90s style. Like we wish we were still in the '90s type comic books.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll be very honest with you. I when I was like when I first found out about Comicsgate and I'm like, let me go check out like what this whole thing is. I found, what is the website, like IndieCron, I think, where it's like, here's
Mm-hmm.
all the Comicsgate fucking campaigns. And I went through and I was like, let me check, like probably 20 deep. I'm like, I want a sampling. I want to see what everyone's doing. And it's like 90s concept smashed together. 90s concept, 90s.
Mhm.
And that's all the fucking list was. The whole list was. And as I was looking at it, and it was like, as you went down, because they ordered it by like most funded or whatever, as you went down from the list, it was like the art got way shittier, like exponentially shittier. Like 5-6 deep, I was like, wow, this has $600 of backing. Like, that's rough. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, ouch. And I'm looking at it, and it reminded me of this ad that I would see in Wizard magazine throughout the entire 90s into the 2000s, when they like basically stopped running like small ads. That it was the ugliest fucking superhero group you'd ever seen in your life. Like, 6-year-olds started drawing, this is what a superhero team looks like. God, like, I was like, no one's buying this. But every fucking issue of Wizard, that fucking ad was there. And it was like call this number to order your copy or some shit.
Mhm.
And I was just like, what fucking asshole has the money to waste this ad space for this shitty looking book?
Yeah, they believer, man.
And it's like, I'm looking at it and I was like, that is this, but like 50 of them or 100 of them or 1,000 of them. It's just all these people who are like, my idea is good too. But well, like when you look at it from a hey, I'm a big the fucking 90s fan. Like, I love 90s shit. It's rough, man. It's rough out there. Like, okay, I won't lie.
I won't comment on it.
Like,
I won't comment on it. I've seen a couple things that I like, but I don't buy them.
And it's like there are people who
But
have
yeah,
good art, and it's like the concept is interesting, but then the art is just holy shit. And like I forgive a lot. Like I forgive, like there are people whose books I like. I think that's where is it? Anomaly, right here. Anomaly, both volumes. Good story, like solid, well paced. Like I honestly, before I ever read it, I thought it was going to be really hard to read, but it was super easy to read, like incredibly easy to read. The art is just like middling, like Photoshop painted. Like I just don't like the art, but like it's good enough that I'm like, cool, whatever, because the story's interesting. So like I will forgive a lot of fucking shit, but it's like when it doesn't even look palatable, like I can't even look at this for more than 5 minutes. I'm not gonna want to read a whole fucking comic of this. So that's what it feels like, is that a lot of it is I'm so glad somebody else pointed that out too, because I was like, this feels like a lot of these fucking 90s things that just like everyone's like, oh fucking this is what it should be. And that's because
you know
I
what,
remember
though?
there was a guy who was like, this is when comics were great, and he was
Yes.
using examples from the 90s, and I was just like, this fucking dude, what is he talking about? Like, don't get me
But
wrong, I think the 90s is one of the greatest decades of all time, but like,
that's their debt. But once again, like like talking about Comicsgate, and I have a lot of like. By the way, people always accuse me of CG. They hate me. Ethan and Skyver will pull my name out of a hat and go, today I'm going to attack Tyler on Twitter. He knows me, and he will legit. He has like a file of all my art, and he'll post it and goes, look how shit this is. And I'll wake up and be like, what
what
did I
the
do to you?
fuck?
And like literally, I woke up one day and my phone was blowing up. I'm like, oh heck yeah, like I'm popular.
Right, something's
Oh
popping.
no, I'm popping, and I'm getting so much hate.
Wow.
But so like comic, they hate me, but like I have a lot of good things that I like about Comicsgate. But and one thing is they know their ideal customer profile. They're
That's
they're
true.
they know they know their customer profile. They want people who are fans of 90s comics, who feel that that was the best era of comics, who feel like the current mainstream comics are shitting on them, who they can't, and also they can't let go of their childhood IPs changing, and because these people get angry about that, they're gonna create YouTube channels that will validate, because they feel like their customers like, I'm so angry that April O'Neil's black, and I just feel so alone in my thinking, because the world is saying it's okay that she's black, and then they'll make a video goes, I have a media platform and I'm mad too, and it's okay that you're mad. So now they're validating the feeling,
Right.
and then they go, and then now that they've validated that person's emotion, and they're doing that by creating content, they can then go, if you're feeling mad, let's do it our own way by backing my book.
Right.
And so for me, like as much as people hate on Comicsgate, they know how to, they know their ideal customer profile, they know how to market, they know how to elicit the emotion, and then they know how to get people to buy. So it's like, okay, how do you then, love them or hate them, how do you do that for yourself? How
Yeah.
do you do that for yourself? And I think a lot of creators just get so angry and stopped up with like, oh, like they make rage baiting videos. We'll make positive videos. And they go, well, those don't get views. And I go, have you seen a Mr. Beast video? Have you ever seen an angry Mr. Beast video?
You are very true. That is a great example because his whole platform is positivity. I mean, shit,
Correct.
he gives people shit for free all the time. That
The
is a
biggest YouTube,
very, very good point.
the biggest YouTubers on the platform are all positivity. They're all positivity.
And when negative shit happens around them, they go fucking silent, like dead silent.
Yes.
They do
Yes.
everything they can to avoid making content when shit is negative. If something happens,
Yes.
like if there's like a loss, or if they're, I mean, like fuck, what's his face? I don't really like him, but the Paul, the older
Logan
one,
Paul.
Logan, when he fucked Japan, that was a crazy, like insane fucking thing. Made a shitty apology video, disappeared for a couple months, rebranded his entire shit, and now he's
he's
just
now
like
like on
podcasts
top.
and yeah, and it's because if you're not gonna dive into the negativity and make your whole platform, i.e. Eric July, because I'll be honest with you, I still don't know if that book exists. Be very honest with you. Yeah, I still don't know if it's a real thing, because no one's talked about it. The only time people were talking about it was when it was being funded and when it was like the revolution and all this other shit, and not a single person has posted about it at
I'll
all.
say why. I'll say why. It's because you have you have to, so like for me, I make my platform, whenever I put out a book, when people get it, I'm very blessed that for a week people are tweeting about it.
Right.
And they'll tag me. I'm very blessed by that. When a Common America book comes out, oh, like they have such a big Twitter following. Like it's like when their book launches on Kickstarter, and it's like Common America Day on Twitter. I don't even bother posting anything. It's not happening.
Fair enough.
So, dude, I need to
people
see a psychiatrist because I hear my kid scream crying, but I'm looking at the monitor and he's asleep. And so, so, and when you create a book, so and my platform is all about reading stories. Let's read manga and talk about it. Let's read comics and talk about the story. Hey, I'm creating a book and I want you to talk about the story. So it's very important that my audience knows we're here to read the story, and they're backing the book because of the story.
Right.
So they're backing the book because it's a book. Eric, and people say this about Comicsgate books, as Comicsgate books and Eric July books, and I don't have a problem with them doing. I don't have a problem with this, but it's something that other people that people need to understand. The reason why no one talks about the book is because them buying the book isn't about the book.
Right.
It's about supporting the entertainer. That
was my entire point in that last conversation that we had.
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole point. And honestly, that's okay because
And that's fine. Like I saw in your in the comments of your live, somebody said, "Oh, like you provided all this content, and you probably all this."
I was going to say that,
right? So, and they said,
that, yeah,
me backing your book felt like a way to support you for giving me all this entertainment, which I think is a perfectly reasonable thing. Like if you've gotten value out of somebody, it's like that's why I have a tech YouTube channel. Like people use my affiliate link. Well, it's because I provided them with value. Like I've reviewed a product, I've said positives and negatives. This is my opinion about it.
People buy it,
and they're like, "Cool, I'm gonna use your link," because they could have easily just searched it in Amazon manually. Like,
but that's why people aren't talking about. That's why you're not going to hear an analysis of Cyberfrog on Twitter because no one cares about the story. That's why you're not. I haven't seen a single. I've seen like two screenshots of someone with a page, like an open page of the book.
Right.
I haven't heard anyone talk about the story of ISOM, and like I don't like or dislike Eric July. I don't watch his content. Honestly, I don't like his content. It's not the content for me, and
Sure.
I don't fit
Same
in
here.
his demographic. But like for me, I see ISOM to me could very well just be a t-shirt. Or a mug. Like it's just merch. It's Eric July merch. And people can
Yeah.
view my book as merch, which I'm totally fine with, but I'm not angling at merch. See, they're angling at buy my book so we can go after the culture war. And
Right.
I'm saying buy my book so you can read it, and then if you like it, you'll buy the next one.
Right.
Um, and so it's just the angle that creators do it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to
It's
me.
a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I think, like you said, a lot of people don't understand is that there's different ways to market your product, and
Yes. Your
whether
product.
that's
Yes.
whether that's through positivity and reinforcing the value of the product, and here's what it is, here's what it'll do for you, right? You could talk about, like, fuck it, this light has RGB and all this other shit, right? Blah, blah. But it's like, this isn't Samsung. Fuck Samsung. Samsung sucks dick. You should buy this, right? Like, those are both doing the same thing. They're both marketing this product, like
Mm-hmm.
it's all depends on what the image you want to portray is. He and people like him want to party in that fucking corner of the internet of let's hate the fucking culture war, let's fuck them, fuck the majors and all this. Like, their whole thing is about dunking on the woke majors. Cool. I've always said, like, that's the thing. I don't like, there's a lot of like certain kinds of like variant covers and shit that people do that I'm like, not my fucking thing. I'm not gonna buy a fucking titties out variant. Like, that's just not my thing. I don't give a shit. If you make that, cool. More power to you, because I know there are people for that, right? 99% of the
But
time, like J. Scott Campbell, I like his art. I hate most of his variant covers. Almost all of his variant covers I fucking hate, because most of them are just like sexy fucking variants. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. But it's like, when he does a good variant cover, he does a good fucking cover. Like, he's a good artist.
the problem now, going back to that post I did on Facebook, is that most creators are whiner babies, and they're just gonna be, oh well, they always find excuses to have a reason on why they're not doing well. Oh, that person's only doing well because they did a titty cover. Oh, that person only did well because they're in Comicsgate. This person only did well because they make a rage baiting YouTube channel. And to which I say, well, what are you doing then? What are you doing then? Because they think,
Very
oh
valid.
well, I have to make a rage baiting. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to make a rage baiting. Like, I could spend I could make a video every single day with the term SJW or woke, have my face on the YouTube thumbnail like ha or and then talk about something rage baity, but get those views. I choose not to, and you can choose not to, and make different kinds of content and learn how to get good at it. But instead, creators are whiner babies, and instead of learning and becoming better, they'd rather just complain and cry. And they just want any creators. They just want handouts. They're seriously the biggest whiner babies. Like, I had someone once say, "Easy for you to say you have 7,000 subscribers on YouTube," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember the day I woke up and I got them. I remember the day I woke up and I just was given 7,000 subscribers." It's like, no, I worked for this. And by
Right.
the way, when I told you 4 years ago to work on it when I started it and you chose not to, that's why you're behind.
It's very true.
And
And I'll be honest with
yeah,
you. Like, so, like, when I first found you, it was very much through the Superman video, that there was a lot. I was very much like, through this channel, I was commenting on a lot of people's stuff who like had some opinions about the subject. And I saw yours and I was like, let's see what fuck's going on. And that's where it all kind of started. And actually, then it was the ISOM video, like, where you talked about the rip reverse and all this other stuff. And I was like, fuck that guy. Cause like, I had kind of personally been on a journey through his content where I was like, I watched his stuff and then I was like, like, not 100% there, but I subscribed because I, kind of, I'll subscribe to most people. And then like the next time around, it was like, and then it just became like I just saw it like diving deeper, like, and I'm sure that's based on his reactions, right? He got more content, more engagement from people when he went a certain way with his content, and that's where he went with it. And for me, that was like, cool, I'm out, right? I don't give a shit. And that's why I didn't know he was doing a comic until people started reacting to the fact that he was making a comic book.
To the massive numbers.
Yeah, and it, so it, like, that's the thing, is like he wasn't making a comic book about, like you said, like you sell the story. Like, I know more about Girl with the Mega Fist than I ever thought I would know about it, because you talk about it a lot. Like, it, I'll be honest with you, like the character design lends itself to, here's 15 variants of her in suggestive poses, you should buy this. And when I first saw it, that was my first takeaway. I was like, he's drawing a TNA book, cool, whatever. And then, but that was my first takeaway. But then, like, every other time I saw you talk about it, and as you talked about it in the first video that I watched, even, it was like, just fighting some dudes, fighting the fucking dragon thing. And I was like, that's interesting. And then you were like, oh, the first, because I think that was when you were doing volume 2. And you were like, oh, the first one had this many pages, this one's gonna have this many pages. And I was like, okay, like, so like this is more of a conversation about the content of the book. It's not like, because like I said, my first reaction to the cover, I was like, oh, okay, like I see where this is. But then very quickly it was like, that's not it. That's not it at all. And here's all this other, like, here's the content. Whereas when I saw Eric July's fucking campaign, his whole thing was fuck them, fuck them, fuck them. We're not them. Little story beat.
Yeah.
I still to this day have no fucking clue what that comic was about. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas like I know about your book because you talk about your book and you talk about the content. And I when I first saw your first video, I thought you did more of these kind of reactionary things. Like, I thought it was more like, here's what's happening in the culture. So that's what I'm going to do videos about.
If your
honestly,
my ISIM video, I'm saying if my ISIM video was anyone's first, and that I deleted it a week later because
I was wondering about that, because I saw that you deleted certain videos after a while, and you keep a curated presence on YouTube.
Yeah, talk about that. I delete videos where I feel like it doesn't represent my channel very well to a new person. So, like you just said, if my video of me going, what is ISOM, was your very first like look at what my channel is, then you are gonna go, he's a commentary channel. Because I woke up that morning, saw a tweet that said ISOM is launching, and I go, what is this? And I just hit the record button, and I was like, these are my thoughts, which is not the kind of content I do. But and then it got like 30,000 views in a couple days, and I got a ton of subscribers. And then like the next video that I put out is like, should you read this book, which is my actual content. And none of those people watched it. And I realized, and then I kept doing these videos, and then I did another commentary video about Eric July, and that one got 10,000 views. And I was like, people who subscribe to my channel think that I'm a commentary channel, and they're wanting commentary videos. I am not a commentary channel. I do not want to do these videos. Delete. So I delete that. So I'll do that. I'll do that with so for example, my YouTube channel used to be a how-to for comic creators. How to set up a website, how to do a Kickstarter, how to package, how to mail, how to do a world building. And I would bring in other creators.
I went back to one of your older videos, and I saw you were like reviewing the paper quality on something. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
So imagine a channel like, imagine like 500 videos of like, should you use this kind of paper? Should you use this kind of pen? What drawing tablet should you use? It was, my channel for 4 years was a how to be an indie creator. I interviewed like every indie creator. I interviewed like 300 indie creators. I interviewed some writers, some DC writers, some Marvel writers. My channel was like the how to be an indie creator and market and sell. And then I woke up one day and was like, who is my ideal customer profile? Because according to my YouTube channel, it's an indie creator, not a reader. Delete all my videos. Delete all my videos. Delete delete the videos that are giving me $100, $200 a month, lose all of that ad revenue, delete, and I want to make content. My ideal customer profile is not an indie creator. It is someone who wants to read books. Let's make content for that person. So I deleted all 400 videos of those how to be an indie creator, and now I make this content. So yeah, I will delete videos where I go, this is not Neil Gaiman says, you should always be facing the mountain, which is your end goal. And I realized none of those videos were getting me to my end goal. I don't want to be this like I don't want to make videos so I can help creators. I want to make videos so that people will buy my books. Now, because of that, for 4 years, I am still kind of known as the guy who does marketing, and my day job is marketing books. So I'm like, I can't let go of that because I have that as an angle.
Sure.
So I'd still do that with some of my live shows. I'll do that, on Twitter or on Facebook groups, and I'll try how can I use that angle? But yeah, yeah. You saw my channel, you go, oh, he's a commentary channel, and it's like, that's why I deleted the video, because if someone watches that video and go, oh, he's another commentary channel, it's like, shit, that's not what my channel is, and now you've subscribed, and now every video you watch, you're going to be disappointed. So then you're not going to watch my content.
Right.
So yeah, I essentially have like 6,000 dead subscribers on my YouTube channel at this point, which I'm okay with saying.
Well, there's nothing. Well, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But that, like, you have your core audience. You have the people that are going to watch it. So like and that's why when we were talking about this the other day, we were planning to do a video. I was like, oh, let me see like what his most recent videos have been. Because I'll be honest with you, when I was going to bring up the subject of rage baiting, my initial thought was, because of those first couple of videos that I interacted with you on, was I'm going to bring up the fact that all he makes is fucking rage bait videos. And then I pulled it up and it's like this manga, this manga. I was like, what the fuck?
You're not going to find it.
I was like, that's not his content. And I look back and it's like, weeks, months back, it's like the fucking, Superman video. And even that's like from a critical point of view, it's not the rage bait video from before. Like, so I'm just like, if this is not like, so that's why I didn't come at it from like, oh, that's all you fucking make. But like, that was my first thought, was because, like you said, that was my first interaction with you, is like, you make these reactionary videos. Yeah. So like your whole, that was my original concept, was like that your whole presence was that, but it's not.
And there are some creators who will, that's why anytime a creator goes, Tyler, your comics date, or they go, you just make rage baiting videos, because you're not the only one that has ever accused me of that. I always go on my channel and find one right now. And it's not to say though that I haven't ever.
Sure.
Because it's not to say that I haven't ever, because I think there was like a month where every single week I put out like can you believe this? I wore like sunglasses and there was fire.
That's what we started. That's the first time we interacted, because I remember that. I was like, why is this kid fucking wearing glasses? Like, this is fucking
weird. Mostly because of my eyesight, because I don't like bright lights, but also to like, just to be a dick. But it's not to say that I've never done rage baiting videos where it's like, can you believe this? But I made those videos, and then I go, after a month, I'm like, is this who I am? Like, this isn't like, because like I can rage bait. Like I can see something on Twitter and go, everyone can. And so, for that month, it just so happened that there was 4 articles that came out that pissed me off. That I was like, I should talk about it. Right. And then at the end, it's like on week 5, I'm like, well, I'm not really angry this week.
Right. So and then it's do you manufacture it? Like, yes. Like a bunch of other people do, right? Like a bunch of, because I guess it's possible that someone is always that angry, but then like, can you be? You would have to have like a stroke at some point. Like if you're always that fucking angry, like, so you either manufacture it or do you just make the shit you want to make?
At that point, you have to just like, you look at the details, like the Blue Beetle the Blue Beetle trailer, and at the very end, he's like, "It's
You
like
talk. Oh my
Batman
god,
tech,"
I know exactly what fucking reaction video
and
you're
he
talking about.
and
That
he
dude,
says,
that
and
dude
he's
lost his mind.
and I'm like, and I'm like,
It's clearly meant to be a joke. Like
you turned a 1 second line into a 15-minute video. How did you?
that guy
Like,
was so mad.
but I guess my point is like, yeah, I've done rage baiting videos, but at the same time, even like someone said, well, Tyler, your video on like comic book sales are down. That's rage baiting. And to me, I go, that's not rage baiting because comic book sales are down. And here's a graph that says it is. So, like, is it rage baiting or is it just me commentating? And so,
It's down. Yeah,
at the
it's
end of the
down
day,
it's down comparatively because it's like there's a lot there's a lot of factors to it. But yeah, like just looking at it, Amazing Spider-Man is the number one book. See, seems a little
I'm just talking about graphic novels and how the average Marvel graphic novel sells, I think, 186 copies.
like trades.
Yeah, yeah, trades last year sold 186 copies.
Rough.
That's rough. And so
Because
it's like,
because the profit margin on that. I mean, granted, they're gonna get way better deals, but like
that's bad.
they didn't print 186 copies. They
Exactly.
probably printed 1,000 at least.
Yeah. And now yeah, exactly.
That
So
that is that's rough.
so if I do a video or a tweet that's like, I can't believe like Marvel only sells 186, people will go, "Oh, you're rage baiting," and it's like, oh, hold on, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, this one died. It's like, I'm not rage baiting. I'm presenting you a fact of life, which goes back to, once again, my belief that indie creators are whiner babies because they can't whiner babies can't they don't live in reality, where the reality is that comic book sales are down and whatnot, and they're like, oh, you're just rage baiting, you just hate comics. It's like, no, like, I'm just stating the fact. It's just like I'm stating that the reason why you're not doing well on Kickstarter is because of you. And so
But
I think
don't you think it would be a little more just a little more generally like better accepted if you came at it from like a more informative angle? Like you came kind of heated. Like not necessarily angry, but just like you came like I would say the tone of that post was very accusatory. And that's I think where people
well,
got
is it
defensive and shit.
accusatory to say the creators struggling haven't built their own unique fan base and have been living on rented land? Like, that's not accusatory. If it's accusatory,
No,
the people who,
it's very factual, but it goes. So I've been guilty of this many times. I've almost gotten into arguments with people over how I respond to them, especially in text form, because they're like, "Bro, are you being an asshole to be an asshole, or is this just how you talk?" Like somebody actually said that, and I was like, "Oh, dude, no, like this is just how I talk. I'm very matter of factly when I write things." So like it's very hard for me. Like I used to work at a job in customer service and they almost went to this like overly platitudes, blah, blah bullshit on when I was on the phones. But then I moved to the chat team and all those bullshit platitudes. I was like, I need these because they can't hear my fucking voice. They can't hear that I'm trying to help them. So I need to say the shit that if you said it to a person in live, they'd be like, "Can you shut the fuck up and just help me?" Like they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here," like that kind of shit, right? So like I am very bad with that on my own. Like I will just be like, "Well, why don't you just do this?" And they're like, "Wow, you gotta be an asshole." So it's just like I think the tone of it, right? It's the not what you said, it's the how you said it.
I think anyone who though is angry with how I said it though is a whiner baby. And the
But like you're
reason
also
why
calling these people whiner babies, which like you're doing that
they
on purpose
are,
for sure.
they're a whiner baby. And the reason why is because, like, I told you to I told you to build your own audience, Like that's what
No,
you're gonna
again,
get mad at.
but
Like
again,
that's you. Like
it's not what you said. Like I said, when I read it, I was like, these points are solid, but he's being an asshole about it, and I don't understand why.
I just can't. Like if you want to pull up the post, I'm looking at it and I'm just like so proud of myself for how nice I am on this post. Like I don't see where I was an asshole, unless, besides saying it's your like. I don't even say it's your fault. I did. Um, I just don't see like it says, here's the truth. The Kickstarter market has corrected itself. For too long, too many creators relied on just posting a campaign, blah, blah, while ignoring to build their own audience or learn the skills to do so.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing, right? You start it by saying, "Warning: this is going to sound harsh."
That's very nice. I gave him a warning.
It's true. I'll give you that. Hey, you posted a trigger warning, and I appreciate that, Tyler.
Like I could have just been I could have just been like, I could have said how I really feel, which is like, listen, like you all are like you bitch ass motherfuckers are a bunch of whiner babies. Like I could have said that you're a whiner baby. I could have responded to
you're not
each
wrong.
comment.
You're not wrong.
You
you could have done that, and you did. You did take the time to
yeah.
try to address people's specific concerns.
I could have been like, dude, like how if someone's like you're mean, I could have been like you're a whiner baby. Or you know what? My biggest toxic trait online is that I'll make a Yu-Gi-Oh card specifically for you, and I have one called Bitch Lemonade. Drink this, give this card to someone when they're a bitch, and like it's just an image of a Yu-Gi-Oh card that says Bitch Lemonade with the thing, and like
that's hilarious.
I'll do funny.
That. That's some high tier internet shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's
yeah, dude.
That's cool.
I'll tell you, at any time a creator's like mean to me, I'll put their shitty art on a comment on a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Oof.
And I'll call them a bitch, and then I'll post it, and then people are like, oh, look at that ugly art. I go, yeah, it's from this person's campaign. Can you believe that? No, I don't do that. That's rude. That's fucking rude.
That's you know that's
toxic.
Rough. That's rough. Yeah, that's pretty toxic.
My thing is like, is it mean to tell creators who are struggling that you're doing all the wrong things and that you need to understand these three basic things? You're on rented land. If you're not going to be in the genre of Kickstarter, you need to build off the platform, and then to go, the problem is you. Now that you know, you can move on. Like if that is considered mean, then one of the people who's most pissed off about this, they said it's easy to be the tough guy in a room full of Care Bears, and I'm like, you're right. The indie comic creator scene is a bunch of Care Bears, a bunch of whiner babies. Like that's what they tweeted. It's easy to be a tough guy in a room full of Care Bears. I'm like, you're right. The indie scene is a bunch of Care Bears.
That's a weird defense, because that is to say
doesn't help.
Yeah, that's an odd defense. I'll be honest, because
the person who said it's a bitch, so like it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. And you know, they're one of the whiner babies who are complaining that their Kickstarter isn't funded right now.
Right.
And it's like,
but that's okay. So especially because in the realm of content, right? It's your Twitter, right? Your Facebook profile. Now granted, this group seems to be more centered to creators, helping creators. So it's a little more, here's where I could, like, this is really the only place where this kind of complaining should be happening. Because on Twitter, on everywhere else, every other platform that's public facing, consumer facing, because that's the thing we forget, I think, a lot, is that the platform you're on is consumer facing, right?
Yes.
The company we mentioned earlier that I have issues with, the creator posted another thing that's very problematic from just the way it was presented. And somebody commented, so you think that people are going to buy from you now? Like people are still going to buy from you after saying this? And and he's like defensive about it. Like you're posting something that you know is controversial. Like, you know, it's a controversial perspective to your audience, to the people you want to buy your shit. So yeah, they get to decide now if that is who they want to buy from. So
which is why I don't post someone on Twitter was like, they didn't. I said something about comics, and they went, "Oh, you must be." They go, "Oh, you probably believe in these views," and they try to post some like far alt right stuff, and I was like, "I've got no comment. I've got no comment. I'm not here to talk politics with you. I'm here to just talk about comics." And they go, "Oh, well, I want you to commentate on this," and I go, "I'm not." And they go, "Oh, well, just by you not commentating on it means that you're all right." And I'm like, "No, me not commentating on it means that I'm using this public area to just talk about comics because that's what I want my consumers to look at, is to say I am I I talk about comics because let's just say in this realm, this Earth 2, let's say that I did believe in this crazy all right stuff that they said, which they said it was all right. I personally didn't think it was all right. Let's just say they said it was all right stuff. Now, immediately, if I have liberal but buyers, they're going to go, and now
Right.
I've just lost half them. And I might even lose the conservative side who is like, oh, you believe that? And you might lose the people in the middle go, and now you're like, now the alt right people are like, yay, now only cater to
Now
us.
you've fractioned your fucking base.
Yes. And now you either have to apologize and now try to get back in, or you just go, I guess I'm going all in on this side. And it's really a lose lose. And so that's
From a marketing perspective, if it's not something that you like come out with and like said, hey, these are my beliefs, or this is who I am as a person, and like this is where I stand on the political spectrum or whatever, if that's not something that you want to discuss or debate because it's going to come up, like, right, if you want to make comics or write books or whatever the fuck you're creating, if you just want to do that thing and not deal with any of that other stuff, not deal with politics or anything else, then you can't talk about it.
correct. But if you, yeah,
Equivalently, if you are someone that is like, I'm hard left, hard right, whatever the fuck, like that's your whole thing, and that's what you fucking are on there, and then you're like, I'm making a fucking book, you know that you only have that much of the fucking
you got to
audience.
deal with the consequences. Yeah, you
Right.
deal with you deal with the consequences. You can't, and you can't complain.
I think there's something
So
to be
yeah.
said about so certain platforms, like most platforms have, right, terms of service. Like Twitter is fucking famous for just shutting people's shit down if they don't like it, if they've posted some shit that's not right, and they shit that doesn't agree with their terms, right? I watched a interview recently with the CEO of Substack, and the person asked, essentially, like, what if someone posted this like very specific blatantly racist thing, would they be censored? Because I guess they're creating a new thing that's like Twitter like,
Oh,
so
it's
it's
called
it's
notes.
yeah, so it's like more consumer facing, and they were asking, like, what's going to be the moderation here, like, is this going to be heavily moderated? And he was trying to, like, sidestep the question by basically saying, like, I don't want to play what if games about like specific phrases and whatever, because then it's going to turn into, and I mean, he didn't say this much, but that's what I took out of it, was like, if I start answering like specific what if questions, it's going to turn into like people figuring out ways to get around that fucking specific what if. And and then there's just gonna be more shit to deal with. And it's like, they have a terms of service and it says what it says, and it's gonna change because they've all fucking changed. Not a single fucking terms of service that's in the social sphere is the same as it was 5 years ago. Not a single one. They all fucking change
Mm.
them every year or two because something happens, or somebody fucking does something that wasn't accounted for before, or they do it a certain way that they didn't think about, and then they got to fucking adjust for it. So but the premise of it was, a company can like have morals and like have things that it stands by, and that's how it operates, right? And I think that is coming from a very uniquely like hyper liberal perspective, which I thought was kind of entertaining, because it was like, oh, you could have your beliefs and stand by those, and like that's how you operate based on those beliefs. But then, like, people who say shit like that almost never account for people who disagree with them. because it's like they make fun of companies that say, oh, we're very conservative, we go by these kind, you know, like religious values or whatever, because like what is it, Hobby Lobby's always dunked on because of the fact that it's like a Christian, or like a Christian based company. And but it's like, but if somebody was like, we're fucking hyper liberal, we allow fucking anything goes as long as it's fucking legal, we don't give a shit, like that's our persona, that like a lot of people will be fine with that. But at the same time, like a business is a business and it wants to make money. So it behooves a business to not do that, to not have a public stance. Because even when they do, even when, let's say, an established business like Pepsi, when they try to make like a fucking political statement, like a few years ago, they made that shitty ass fucking commercial with the Kardashian girl. Everyone was like, are you fucking serious? Like, you have no clue, because it's a business. They don't, this is not who they are. This is not what they're about, but they're just trying to like ride the wave of this specific thing. So if you are producing a comic book, if you are making a book, if you're whatever, like I'm writing a book, people know my views, but like that's not my whole personality. I will personally debate shit, like, and like even if they don't know, once you read my book, you'll have a fucking idea of who I am. Because I think I agree with my guy Jibba. He said an artist shows, like, puts a part of themselves into the work. So that's, because I was talking to him, I'm like, I still kind of listen to like Chris Brown, because I'm like, you know, his music is not the thing that he did, and he's like, yeah, but like
What'd he do?
he's still Chris Brown.
Yeah.
He violently assaulted Rihanna a few years, but not a few years.
Or do you think that she got in the way of one of his like backflips kicks? You know, his backflip kicks he does? Do you think she got in the way of that?
You think he was just practicing his fucking floor routine?
I think he was practicing and she just came out and he was like, oh, shoot, I'm so sorry.
No, he's real defensive of that, so I don't think that's what it was. One of my favorite celebrity freakouts was somebody asking him that on like Good Morning America or whatever, and he was just like, why can't everyone just leave me alone, it was one mistake, and he like runs off.
Oh, that's fair. That's
I
funny.
was like, that's
I will say, like, I don't say what he did was bad, but I want to know what I want to know what she did too.
So you're suggesting that if a woman is violently beaten, that she might have deserved it?
No, I want that. I'm gonna say it probably wasn't like she was like, "Hey, honey," and he was like, you know, he was probably like, you know,
well, we're seeing it play out again now, right? With Jonathan Majors, like there's you know, there's they try to get her to recant, and her recanting is the tweet that, or the text message that the lawyer shared was, it was probably my fault because I tried grabbing your phone. No, that's not a good enough reason to get beat up, like, and choked.
Yeah.
Like,
it was probably just like, I'm so sick of you. And then Rihanna was like, well, bitch, I sell more albums. And then Chris Brown was like, don't ever say like, that. And then she like pushed him. He's like, don't push me. And then, you know, clocked her. And he was like, oh, I'm winning. And then just keep clocking.
And that's the thing with those situations, right? Like, none of us were there and we'll never know. And that's the thing. Just like with this current situation with Jonathan Majors. And I think it's funny. A lot of people try to like make them these like linchpin moments or whatever, but my point is, like, people who are going to read my book are going to know who I am as a person. People who read your book, to a degree, even if you aren't like actively like putting certain themes or whatever into it, the way you present your material, people are going to have an idea, right? Like if good guys win in most situations in your stories, like, people know who you are generally as a person. Like, you think good you, like, right, you think good triumphs over evil, right? But like, if someone is always writing, you know, fucking, you know, violent murder shit, and like, you might have some questions about this person, like, what's going on? Like, you're a very dark, you know, situation.
Going what you said, like, how much should creators air personally of their personal lives? Like, because we do live in a world where people will back the book solely based off the creator, not the book.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to put yourself out there like that, it's like, how much do you share? And if you share too much, there's a possibility of alienating, maybe 50% of your base, depending on
Right.
what you share. And so I think at that point for creators is you have to go, okay, what should I share, and why should I share it, and what's it say about me if I share it? And so like I don't post any of my religious beliefs. I don't post any of my political beliefs. Um, every now and then I'll like say it like on a live stream, but for the most part, like it'd be pretty hard to find what my political, not maybe not hard, but it'd be pretty hard to find like my religious beliefs or my political beliefs. But then people can go, okay, I have a family. Okay, he's a family man, and then okay, um, I believe in I like good story. I like stories that do this, and so I think you've got to figure out ways as a creator to resonate with an audience, at a personal level, and that doesn't have to be politically. That doesn't have to be through religion. That doesn't have to be for those like stuff you're not supposed to talk about at a family dinner. You can find other ways. You can say, I like stories that have a protagonist win, good or evil, good versus evil, and then
Oh, I lost you.
change.
Oh, there you are. It switched. It sounds like it
Yeah.
switched. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's try again. Let's go this.
I think it just switched.
Let's
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. Just switch headphones. Let's see how much battery is on this one. I got supercharged. Then at that point, it's like you can resonate with people who I like this kind of story. Oh, and then people go, oh, I like that story too. That type of story too. I like crime dramas because I love. And then you go, people go, oh, I love crime dramas. And so with your marketing, like you can divulge personal stuff that you like. That will then you go, okay, if I divulge this, who's it connecting to? How is it going to connect to them? And is it a net positive? Because if I go, my religion is I'm a Christian, it's like, okay, what's the net positive? What's the net positive on this, and what's the net negative?
Right.
And at that point, if you say I'm a Christian, and you could say it could open up the gates to all these other questions that people might assume of you. And if you don't want people to assume those things, or that even in the question, then just don't ever say that. But if you
Sure.
are okay with that, then just go, yeah, I'm a Christian. And like I say, if you're whatever you put out on the internet, if it's going to be personal, like you better be ready for it. Like better like stand your ground. I'm this is who I am. I don't give a crap. And I think I think that's why a lot of indie creators don't. I was talking to Paul about this on the live. I think a lot of the reason why a lot of indie creators maybe don't like me is because, unlike them, I'm real and they're fake ass bitches. But like they're so needing to be liked and loved, but also they're so needing to be accepted, and they're so needing to be accepted by their peers. Like I said, like Paul was like, I tried to say something once, and then I had an indie creator say, don't say that. These people will not be your friends. And that's why I say, why do you need them to be your friends? They're not your customer. They're not your customer. They're not your fan. Replace them with someone who's actually going to buy your comic. And I think when I post something, when I make posts, and if an indie creator is like, I can't, like, why would he say that? I think it's because people get so scared to be real that they would choose to be in the middle, and they would choose to be a victim, because at least with a victim you can get some victim points, but you don't really get points if you're a villain. And when I post something like that post, people see me as a villain, and they paint me as a villain because I don't hold their hand in their victimhood, because I don't like victim mentalities. You're struggling on Kickstarter, boo-hoo, you're a whiner baby, let's figure this out. Like, let's figure this out.
Right.
Like, let's
It's
you're struggling. Yeah.
It's interesting to me because the way you're coming at it is honestly very Gary V like. Gary V, if you, I don't know if you've watched his stuff, but um
Yes, I like
but
Gary Vee.
but his whole thing is always uh make more stuff, make better shit. That's his whole thing. If you aren't getting the followers, if you aren't getting like, and his is just from a content marketing perspective, right? Like how are you like grow your audience. So I think that is that I think Gary V to a very good degree should be like 6 to 8 months worth of Gary V content. I feel like should be required watching for anyone trying to market a product. I think you should be, because after that it's just going to get repetitive. And it's funny because like then part of his whole shtick is, well, you keep saying the same thing, so it's like it's repetitive about the fact that it's repetitive. So it's just ad nauseum the same thing he's been saying for the so like 6 to 8 months or so will kind of get you all the points he's going to make. Um, and it's very much like make content, make more content, make better content. That's it. Like you were, and that's the same thing I think with uh comic books, and if it's videos, like it's all people, because I've seen a lot of people in different forums, different groups, and everything be like, oh, how do I make my first comic? Like Fishley does these lives where he draws and he shares advice and stuff, and I see a lot of people all the time. Like the number one question is like, how do I start making a comic? We'll just make a fucking comic. Like make the
Yeah,
comic and then make another comic and then make another comic after that. Because I'll be honest with you, I have a comic book somewhere in one of my sketchbooks from like sophomore year of high school. It's not bad. It's like a 2-page X-Men thing, right? Not terrible, especially for how I was then. If I had kept at it, maybe I would be a production quality artist at this point, and maybe I would be able to just make my own whole comic books, right? But I didn't. I did more writing stuff, and that's where I'm way stronger. My art is nowhere near up to par. So that's not something I'm pursuing. But it's like, if I had just made another comic, even if the next one wasn't just a little, just 1% better, 1% better, 1% better, you're gonna get to a point where people are gonna come for the content, and then that's when you can say, I'm making Girl with the Mega Fist. I'm making, like my book that I'm making, to go to our earlier point of you got to just focus on making the one thing good. I'm like round 4 of edits. I just had someone read it and they were like, here's my feedback. And I'm like, that's great fucking feedback. This is exactly what I was looking for. You said this doesn't make sense. I'm going to see how I can clear this up. Right. So I'm going to make this book as good as I can fucking make this book. And then we're going to go and say, hey, here's what's going on. And then from there, the next one, because I've now learned all these lessons, will be even better. Maybe I won't need to do,
100%.
maybe I won't need to do 6 rounds of fucking editing. Maybe I'll need to do 3. Fucking saves times and everything. So it's you have to make the content, because like you said, going on other people's stuff. Like if you were not making your content and you were putting out Girl with the Mega Fist, you coming here, you're getting 5 to 25 views, and let's say it's 100% click rate, which is non-existent.
Yeah,
25 backers, you better have like $100 minimum tier. like,
yeah.
like it's
Well,
just not gonna happen.
that's why like people are shocked. They're like, Tyler, how many like shows did you go on for your volume 3, which got 400 backers? And I go, one. I went on one show, and they're like, well, the hell, I was on a show every single night. I was like, I don't need to go on shows. I have my own show, and I have my own audience. So, and the one show I did 2 shows. One of them, the recording broke the last 10 minutes and the file got deleted.
That sucks. I know
And
what that's like.
so the guy was like, oh crap. And so and the other show I did for fun, and the guy gets like 5 views. I just did it for fun. Um, and so um, I'll probably have to like go in like 5 minutes. I hear my kid crying, but like, so to me, it's like, why do you build content? It's so that the you that you want to be in 5 years or 10 years doesn't have to do all of this like basic bitch stuff. Like, and here's the thing is people think I speak from this sense of like entitlement or like, sorry, like, how do I say it? Like I'm some like rich person. Like, oh, you were just. It's like I remember being the dude who was going on every show. I remember the dude who was having to go. Can I get on? Can I come on the live show? Like I remember being that person. Um, and um, huh? Okay. And so I need to end. I need to end like now.
Okay.
But and yeah, I remember being that. And at the end of the day, if you just put out the work, in 5 years you'll be very happy. And I think a lot of creators they just can't get to that 5 year. They just can't look 5 years ahead. They want instant gratification. I got to bounce though, but
I appreciate your time, man.
I'll
Go
let you
take care of your
conclude the
family.
show. But thank you so much for having me. I had a good conversation.
Thank you for being on. See ya. All right. So that was a great conversation. I think we covered some things that I wanted to cover, and I think we did talk about a lot of things. Look, like I said all the way at the beginning of this episode, I think the points that Tyler made were correct. I think that people need to spend a lot more time building up their own personal audience base. I think there are people who are on 2 books, 3 books, 4 books that are still struggling to hit that number. And if you look at the content, it is very minimal or non-existent. I think if you are any kind of creator at any scale, if you are starting out or if you are 5 books, 10 books in, you need to be creating content somewhere else, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Mastodon or whatever the next thing is. Like it all counts. It all counts. I put out a clip of a single podcast from the Grant Lankard podcast a while back, and that got views and that got interactions. And I do not do, and that was on Instagram. On Instagram, I do not do a ton of content, and I still got decent engagement because it's a video, so it's a reel. It's automatically playing for people, especially if it's related to stuff they like. You need to make content to market your stuff better because you can't rely, as we have discussed and we have looked at many examples, you cannot rely on just Kickstarter or just shows. Like you can go on you would, let me rephrase that. You would have to go on the biggest shows out there with the largest audiences, and I'm talking in the multiple thousands, to get what is 2 to 4% conversion. And that is 2 to 4% of that show needs to come to your page, and your page hopefully is good enough. So your Kickstarter page is hopefully good enough to get 2 to 4% of the people that came there. So you have to think about the math there. Think about the scale math. Multiple hundreds of thousands of viewers to get 2 to 4% of that to hopefully get the 150 backers you need to back to make your book, to make your funding goal. So like you have to have a built-in audience. I make content to help creators. That's my thing. I do a indie creator magazine to spotlight creators, to get eyes on people who don't have their own stuff and who don't have enough people who see their stuff, honestly, because there's a lot of people. I'm learning about new people every day that I've never heard of before. So I figure people also don't know about them, other people. Therefore, I make a magazine that spotlights other people, but I also promote my own stuff within it because I have a story in every issue from me. So you're going to read my writing in every issue of Catalyst. You're going to see my face in every one of these videos. So when I say it's time for you to pick up my book, The Price of Freedom, by the way, that's going to be the title. This is, I think, the first time I've mentioned it, like the actual title, The Price of Freedom. Volume. It's the first volume in a longer story that we will talk about in another episode. When I say it's time for that, there will be 50 to 100 people that will be on board. And that's all I'm going to need to get to the goal that I want out the gate. Will there be stretch goals and, you know, maybe other marketing will do other things? Sure. But base board level, that's all I'm going to need. I'm going to need 50 to 100 people to back this book once I get all the editing done. We are getting there. I'm thinking in the next couple months. I don't want to put a date on it, but I'm thinking in the next couple months, we're going to be done with edits, ready to go. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments on Twitter at Indie Hype Man and at Draw and Talk, I think is his full. I'll put it on the screen and in comments in the description, of course. Get at us if you have any questions about what we talked about. If you have any comments, I'm very passionate about the subject. I really want people to succeed. I see a lot of people who they get 2/3 there and they just don't cross the line. So also keep an eye on thecatalyst.digital. There's going to be some new tabs popping up soon, some new options in the menus, and some free resources and some other resources as well that I will be providing and offering soon. By the end of the month, it's all going to be up. So keep an eye on there, because we're going to make these fucking campaigns better. And I want to be the guy to help you do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Man, the flow is tight like a back spasm. I'ma run it up and probably step at him. Yeah, just minding my business and doing my job. Killing myself in the name of the squad. Riding the wave and I'm feeling like Rod. Feeling like